And welcome to episode 20 of season 2 of the Jumping the Rail podcast. This is Mark Rebin coming to you live from Champaign, Illinois, joined as always by my buddy Minderz. Minderz, the X-ray machine turned heel on you on Monday, unfortunately.
It did. It turned heel on me and it hates me. So I have a feeling somebody at 01 had something to do with it.
I do too. I'll bet it's the same person
I bet
that,
it's
that did
not.
it. Well, that's a discussion
That's
for
for
tomorrow
tomorrow.
on the shootout. Uh,
Yeah. So
Unfortunately, we will not be joined by our buddy the bearded dragon Gary Vasilio this evening. He's got some family obligations to tend to, so all the best to him and dealing with all his stuff. But we will carry on without him and in his honor. But no, I thought I was over this cough stuff a month ago. Uh,
it
this
happens.
it does. So this is the first podcast we've done here since Backlash went down, Menders. So I feel like we should get into it a little bit. I know it's been a couple weeks, but still a lot to digest there.
There is a lot to digest. Well, let's just kick it off with when you had Rhea, or not Rhea, Bianca versus Io.
Uh-huh.
I was impressed, and I'm waiting for Io to turn.
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
It's
Uh,
gonna happen.
yeah, I think that is one of the two best matches of the night, honestly.
That was a very good match.
Yeah, that was.
And I couldn't believe how over Io was down there.
I think she may have worked Lucha Underground and some stuff in Puerto Rico before, so
Ah,
maybe that had
gotcha.
something to do with it.
That
Uh,
would have had something to do with it.
it would, it would. That was the EO I've been waiting for since she was in NXT
Yeah,
because she got kind of saddled with this faction with Bailey and Dakota, and playing third banana to Bailey isn't a good way to get over if you're starting off on the main roster.
not at all. You know what? In fact, I remember back when I loved Bailey. And as this is going on, I'm starting to dislike her a little more and a little more and a little more.
Did you like Side Pony Hugger Bailey, or did you like when she was a freshly minted heel Bailey?
Freshly minted heel. I fell in love I fell in love with the character when she was Hugger Bailey because I
Mhm,
had a shirt that said I'm a hugger, blah blah blah.
mhm.
But what she's become now, like I liked her when she was yelling at Michael Cole all the time, in the suit, being like power
The Ding Dong
chick.
Hello stuff.
Yeah. No, okay,
Yeah,
fine. Yeah.
to a point.
To a
To a
point.
point. Yeah.
But this heel that she is now, I like my heels. And
I know you do.
I'm not real impressed with what she's doing. I'm
I'm
getting bored with it.
my eye is distracted by the Aslikin sign behind you. Now, for
Sorry.
those that are watching the video that don't watch the 0-1 shootout, perhaps some context is in order there.
Okay. So there's this guy that is one of the wrestlers. He's the Thursday Night Throwdown champion.
Immense talent, B.A. Malkin.
He's a bitch ass Malkin, is what he is. Bitch ass Malkin. That's how
Friend of
that
the
sign
show.
got started. That's how that sign got started. But he came
I,
through, ripped up my sign. And Mark, what did you see when he ripped up my sign?
well, as you can probably see in the back there, now the sign said "bitch ass Malkin,"
Mhm.
and you have the right half of the sign, which has ass, and then it has the last part of his last name, and to the untrained eye, or if you're not looking particularly hard, that says ass licking. And
Yeah.
now I'm worried that that's going to be chanted at 0-1 shows across the state
Oh,
going
one can
forward.
only hope. One can only
Uh-huh.
hope. But we'll see what happens. But let's get back on
Yeah.
track. Let's quit jumping
BA
the rail.
BA is a friend of the show. I thought about seeing if you wanted to fill in for Gary, but I decided against it.
Probably a good idea.
I was going to call Jimmy, but I think he might be in the woods somewhere.
Probably. Who knows?
Powder Keg, Jimmy Carrot. All right. So yeah,
Yep,
back to Backlash. So we both agreed Io and Bailey had a banger.
we
Uh,
did.
Now I don't remember the exact order of the matches off the top of my head,
I
just
even
because it's been
watched
a
it
couple
this
weeks.
morning and I don't remember it because I
Okay.
I watched it this morning to get caught up.
Okay. Well, we'll just hit the matches. We won't worry about if they're in order or
Yeah,
not. We'll try to
don't care.
save the main. We'll try to save the main for last. Uh, let's talk about the three-way U.S. title Theory versus Lashley versus Bronson Reed. I I know Theory and Lashley are both on SmackDown, so I figured the belt would be on one of them at the end of it because it's the SmackDown belt now. But
Right.
I really was pulling for Bronson Reed because he's one of my favorite guys on the show right now.
I liked Bronson back in NXT. I thought he
Yeah.
was great. When he left, I was heartbroken. Or when he was let go or whatever. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, he's he reminds me of like a Bam Bam Bigelow type person. He's able to do
Mhm.
the quote unquote aerial stuff, the flippies, if you will, but they're not flippies. They're with
He,
meaning, and he can do it all. And
he-
I like Bronson. I like him a lot.
yeah. He's like that perfect marriage between Bigelow and Vader.
There you go. Yep.
And but you were heartbroken when he got released. I just kept watching him in New Japan because he went right
See,
over there, did
yeah,
the G1 and all that. So and didn't miss a beat. He was one of the. He didn't get any big like title shots or anything, but he wasn't there long enough to be honest.
but yeah,
But
yeah,
I was kind of hoping he would stay there because monster heels in Japan are money.
yeah.
So
They
he
are.
probably he could have just retired off of that after a few years if he wanted to. But I think he lives in Florida, so maybe he wanted to come back to the States and do his thing. So
Which makes
his
sense.
prerogative. Yeah, but and I won't lie, and I know this isn't backlash, but last night I was hoping he was going to win that battle royal because I really want to see
You
him
and
and
me
Gunther.
both. Gunther and Reed. Oh my
Oh my
goodness.
god.
We'll talk about
Oh my god.
last night here in a minute because who did win that was
Yes,
ridiculous. But although you're going to fill me in on what
but
happened in the last half hour because I fell asleep.
I understand. Yeah, I fell asleep in the last 5 minutes, but I understand why they did what they did on that. But we'll get to that here shortly. Uh,
Yeah,
okay, so Theory winning didn't surprise me.
me
Uh,
either.
I am glad that Lashley didn't win because he doesn't need it at this point. I'm
Nope.
sure at some point he's going to go after Roman. Uh, because they love
Here's the
their
thing though, do you do you think he's a big enough name to do it? Do you really think so?
well, who else do they have on SmackDown right now to do it? I mean,
Well,
Drew's
that's what I'm
gone.
saying though. There's
It'd be
nobody.
Sheamus, and AJ is only two guys I can think of really. Maybe Edge if
Well, and
he wants to
AJ
get
may not
another
be
run.
doing it. Well, and AJ may not be doing it because he's got the thing with Seth come
Well, that's true. He is in the finals
Night
of
of
the tournament,
Champions, which
which is going
we'll
to
talk
it's
about
going to be the
that.
best match of the night. It's going to be the
Oh,
match of the
duh.
night. I guarantee it.
It better be. As long as
Right.
nobody does anything stupid to get hurt ahead of time.
Well, I mean, I don't think AJ did something stupid when he got hurt. It's just a freak accident. But yeah, I'm with you. It's
As long as
both
nobody gets
those
hurt, it
guys.
will be, yeah,
Yeah,
it'll be
both those
match of
guys
the
are
night.
pretty smart in the ring. I think they know it's a big show. It's a big deal. So
And they can
that
tell a
remains to
story.
be seen. And they can't tell a
And
story.
and
They tell a
and they
great
don't
story.
have to have a belt. So,
No. I am on the record, and I think you are also. We both think Seth's gonna win the match. Take the. I mean, it's kind of obvious because he's the Raw guy,
right.
but that's neither here nor there.
See, the only thing is that if they do put it on AJ, that gives Roman the chance to take it away. For him to have 3 freaking belts, which is dumb. That's
They
even
now that's still an option though because of what happened on Friday, but we'll get into that a little later on. Uh, Seth Franklin or I'm listening to Corny.
Someone's been watching
Seth,
Corny.
I literally had the experience on right before we went online just now. Seth
Yeah,
Rollins and
sounded like
Omos.
that. Okay, I dislike Omos. I don't like, or as I call him, almost. Um,
Yeah, you call him that. He's
I do.
God dang.
Well, corny.
Yeah,
But that was probably one of his best matches, in my opinion.
I agree.
That
I
was one of
mean,
his best matches.
it's impossible to have a bad match with Rollins, pretty much. But and I don't dislike Omos. I mean, I know what he is. He's an attraction. He's the giant, and he had a really short, but he had a good showing with Brock at Mania.
Yeah,
Had a good
did.
showing with Seth. Seth bumps like a motherfucker for him on that in that match.
Sure did.
And I loved that he had to work up to the stomp. He went for it a couple times, couldn't
Hmm.
get it. He had to do it off the top rope to get that little extra on there. So that still made Omos look strong.
It did. Yeah, almost. I can't even say it. Oh, almost is. He's getting there. He's still very
Yeah,
green.
he's
But he's
still
getting
very
there.
green. Yeah, yeah,
He's getting
it
better,
helps.
but
Yeah,
he's not there
it does
yet.
help. He's got MVP with him though
He's
to
a
work
lot
with him.
better since he
And
brought MVP back with him.
right, and I think he last year he had been working with Nash at the PC. I don't know if he still is or not, like on his downtime. And I
Oh,
think
good.
that goes a long way because
That will help.
he could,
A big man
yeah,
teaching a big man. Yeah.
yeah. Thankfully, not Kali teaching him.
Whew. Whew, 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 whew.
No disrespect to our buddy Dalip, but yeah, not the strongest worker in the annals of the big men.
That's an understatement, but okay. Yes.
Perhaps an understatement. All right, let's
Yes.
move on. Uh, so yeah, and Omos is a free agent too, so he'll be going between both shows.
He'll go back and forth. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see what's next.
Rhea and
Let's talk.
Zelina.
Let's talk about Rhea and Thea, the
Thea.
SmackDown Women's. Well, Zelina.
Zelina.
Well, I'm a mark. Her name's Thea. So,
Okay.
but
Uh, the
great.
Chonchula got brought out. I was so excited.
The chancla, yeah, that was her mom, I think, that gave it to her,
It
and
was.
she whipped out the chancla. And I love
And
that the
then just
chancla's getting conversations between Corny and Brian Last talking about it on their show, Busted Open talking about it.
that
Mark
was
Henry trying
great.
to learn how to say it. It's awesome. Uh, we need to also mention how awesome the crowd was at Backlash.
That crowd
They
was
were
hot.
hot. Yeah.
Very hot. They were into
It
every match. It was, but then again, how long had it been since WWE had been to Puerto Rico?
had been 18 years. New
Yeah.
Year's
So,
Revolution 2005 was the last time.
wow.
And but yeah, they were ready. The arena looked awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't overdone. Big
No.
stage wasn't there. And they were with Zelina. I mean, I think she said that was the first time she'd ever wrestled in Puerto Rico.
And she was
And
in tears. She
oh,
was
she
in
was.
tears.
I think she might have been in tears the entire match.
I think she was
And
because she started in tears.
yeah,
But that was the
it
best
reminded
showing
me
I've
kind
seen of
of.
Zelina. So I
Yeah,
was.
well,
This was not
it's
a bad
it's
card. It
no, it
really
was
wasn't
very
a
good.
bad show at
There
all.
wasn't a bad match on that show.
No.
Uh, Bari is in the chat. We tried to get Bari to
Woohoo!
join us online, but he was unavailable to be with us directly. But it's great to see him in the comments. Hello, Bari, my able
Dumbler.
co-host on Gold Rush on YouTube. Look at that chiming in. Backlash delivered.
It
Absolutely.
did.
Uh, now I had seen Zelina in TNA when she was Rosita. Uh,
Hmm.
she was the tag team with Sarah Stock when she was Sarita, I think her name was. But they were part of Mexican America, even though she's Puerto Rican. But I didn't want to nitpick. But
Right.
it was like they were with Hernandez and Chavo. They were a faction, and they were women's tag champions a couple times. And she was awesome because she's so tiny, but she could do all the lucha stuff.
Right.
So that
And
really got her over.
that was a lot of what got her over with me at
Mhm.
Backlash. Was she could do all the moves. She's agile enough to keep moving to get where she needed to be and things like that.
Yeah,
So,
and Rhea's strong enough to protect her if she's trying some stuff,
yep,
which goes a long way. So
it does.
my producer is sitting on the floor next to me, just looking at me.
My producer's barking in the background. So,
Oh, sugar.
yep. Sugar's
Yep,
having
the kayfabe.
she's cranky.
Oh, I can't believe that a Chihuahua would be cranky. Uh, Now the kayfabe kitty Noodles Redmond sitting right here on the floor. She'll give me my cues when it's time to wrap up because she tends to try to get my attention. Uh, yeah, not surprised that Rio won. I figured she
No.
was going to. Let me get Barbie's comment off of there. I always forget to do that. There we
I
go.
was kind of, as much as I hated to think it, I wondered if they wouldn't switch it just because it is the SmackDown title. But if
I
that's the
would have
case, then you
liked.
need to have Rhea go after Bianca.
I would have been fine with that, honestly. We would have got the
Yeah,
big crowd moment, but and then Rhea doesn't get hurt by a loss at this point. She's the most over woman on the roster right now.
she's money.
Oh
She's
yeah,
money right now.
yeah, yeah. So
She's
I
the
would have
only
been
thing that's
fine
keeping
if.
Judge. I would say she's the only thing keeping Judgment Day relevant right now.
Oh no, Dom. Dom is the hottest heel in the company right now
Because of who?
because he can't cut a damn promo without everybody yelling at him.
Because of Rhea. Because
Oh no, no,
they're
no.
together.
Dom, yeah, together. Buddy Matthews might have something to say about that. Uh,
Hmm.
but no, Dom
Did
is
you see
learning.
his
He's
tweet?
pick. I did with the butt.
Yeah. Dom
Yeah,
Dom was written on the back of Rhea's ring gear.
Mhm.
It said Dom Dom, and he says, "What?" And then Buddy chimes in with, "Your name may be written on it, but I get to touch it." I was like,
Aha, bars with
"Oh,
me. Dom has nuclear heat, which he does,
he
and
does,"
I
but
and I love the progression. He's getting so good right now.
he is getting
This
good.
thing a year ago
I
he
will
was
admit
just
that.
Ray's sidekick in the tag team.
And
Now
I was
he's
ready for him to go
starting.
away.
I think a lot of people. I was ready for him to go to NXT and
Yeah,
learn.
yeah.
And but look at him now. He's having quality matches with guys like Xavier Woods on TV now,
Hmm.
cutting promos, getting the crowd to hate him. He's doing just fine, if you ask me.
Yep, he's
The whole
fine
group is.
now,
Priest is too. We'll get to Priest in a minute, but Priest is really getting a lot of attention now.
as he
But
should.
as he should. I've been a fan for a long time of him.
Me too.
Let's move. So let's move on.
Well,
Let me think.
speaking
What's
of
next?
Priest, well, do you want to do tag
Well,
team, the tag team match,
let's
or Priest?
let's let's do Priest and Bad Bunny. As we were talking about
Okay,
this a little bit before we went on the air.
we did.
Uh, this was the second match of the night for me, along with Io and Bailey.
Okay,
It's a tad overbooked, you know,
Io and Bianca,
with
you
all the
mean?
interference. No, Priest and Bunny.
I know, but you said Io and
Oh,
Bailey.
oh, oh, Io. No, Io and Bianca.
Bianca.
We were both
Okay,
wrong.
sorry.
Aha. But
No,
yeah,
that's what
so
you. Okay.
I know. But yeah, Priest and Bunny was a little overbooked with all the interference. I love seeing Savio come out and Carlito.
It should have been though. There was a reason for it to be overbooked like that. They, with it being Puerto Rico, with it being Bad
Yeah,
Bunny, and
LWO.
you know me, I have a problem with people that aren't wrestlers beating wrestlers on wrestling shows,
Hmm.
aka David Arquette. Hello.
Now, hang on. If you apparently didn't watch Gold Rush on Friday, we talked about David
I
Arquette.
did watch Gold Rush on Friday. I sure did because I was mocking you in the background.
Uh
Um,
huh.
but I'm not a fan of non-wrestlers being in wrestling matches. Period. Unless there's a good reason. For it to be 18 years since they've been in Puerto Rico, and the fact that both the guys are Puerto Rican,
Hmm.
and
Same town.
yeah, they grew up together.
I
And
think
then you've got,
Priest's aunt was his teacher. I think is what they said.
I think that's what they said. But then you had, if you figure all these people and they had sold it out, or I thought I'd heard they had sold out. But think of how long it had been since they'd seen any of the wrestlers like Carlito, like Savio Vega, uh, any of them.
Right.
And just think, Mark, it was what, a month ago that we saw Carlito
Yeah, at the expo, he
because he
was
was at
there.
the expo.
The tag team with Crazy Steve.
Yeah, but I
But
I was impressed with this match, and thank you, whoever made it happen. That the Canadian Destroyer was the finish.
yes, it wasn't just a high
Yes,
spot.
exactly.
And Noodles rejoices. Yay!
Yay,
I'm
noodles.
sorry. She's not happy with me that I did that.
But yeah, the
So I
fact
have.
that that was the finish, and man, the psychology during that match though, sticking on that knee, Bad Bunny staying on the knee of Damian Priest,
Mhm.
by the book, it was so good.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, Bunny. You can tell he respects the business. It's not like some of these
He
guys
does.
that just show up for a paycheck in a cheap pub. Jay
Yeah.
Leno, excuse me.
Drew Carey. What?
But now, Drew, to be fair, didn't actually try. He was just there to be in the Rumble and just pop Kane,
I
which
would
was
say Johnny
ridiculous.
Knoxville, but that was one of my favorite matches from last year's.
That
That
was
was one
yeah,
from WrestleMania, so I can't say that.
yeah. I'm with you on that one. Uh, but yeah, it's any number of them. Stephen Amell does a decent job when he's in the
He
ring.
does. Yeah,
Uh,
I do remember when he was on too.
yeah,
And
Logan Paul
now,
does a
I
good
mean,
job.
even Logan Paul,
Yeah,
and you could even stretch it to go Pat McAfee. Stretch it.
McAfee's an
That's
athlete
a
though.
stretch. Yeah, I was gonna say he's an athlete, but he's still
So
not
is Logan to an extent, but
right.
plus, I haven't never seen Pat McAfee have a bad match.
Mm,
Truthfully, even when he was wrestling Cole in NXT,
yeah.
But so
Well,
yeah,
that was
but the
still some of my
celebrities are
favorites. Yeah.
the celebrities are a slippery slope though. It's but Bunny does it the right way. He put the work
Yes.
in. He respected the business. It helps that he's tight with Priest because, like you always say, best friends always make the best opponents.
Best friends make the best opponents. I'll I stick to that.
Yeah. What to see if Chuck Taylor ever wrestles Trent Beretta. Let's see if that's true. Muffin Top and what's his name?
No, he's usually nice to Trent. He's usually nice to Trent. He likes
Right.
Trent. It's Muffin
I like
Top though.
I like Chucky, but I it's just the way they're using. You know what? I told you I have a list of everybody on the roster. We're gonna do an episode one of these days where we just break down everybody. It might be 5 hours long, but we are gonna do it.
Oh, it's going to be a corny podcast, in
It
other
might be
words.
a corny podcast. We'll get Barry involved. We'll get Gary involved. It'll be a hoot.
Shoot, if we can keep AJ sober, we ought to get him involved.
That is the issue, isn't it?
It is.
Oh, AJ.
We love you, AJ. But he has no filter. And that's part of the reason we love him. But
He does make for entertaining messenger fodder.
yeah. And you
Oh,
guys get the watered
somebody's.
down version.
Yeah.
Oh, Barry's laughing. But yeah.
Uh,
So I kind of wanted Priest to go over, but it didn't bother me that Bad Bunny went over.
yeah, there
Hey,
was no way
Priest still looks
Bunny was going
strong.
over.
He still looks
Oh
strong.
yeah,
So
and
I'm okay with it.
and from what I heard, the office is really high on him after that match. So they might get him elevated to, hey, if Rollins wins that world title, Priest is a very credible challenger.
Very credible. I would definitely go with that.
Yeah.
I would
Although
definitely.
I've got a feeling it's going to be Drew.
Who?
Drew
Oh, yeah.
McIntyre.
I,
Probably heel Drew,
I,
which we can hope
I.
for.
We can hope.
We can hope.
There's. I don't know. I'm still trying to get used to the whole draft picks and everything. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, everybody I think is still trying to find their way right. Like it was only the first week the rosters had rolled over, so
Right. Yeah.
it so everybody's complaining about the booking. They haven't had time to really figure out what they're doing
Yeah.
with
They haven't had
everybody
time
yet.
to do
So
anything yet. Yeah. I'm willing to give it
a
a
couple
couple
of
months.
exceptions.
I'll
Sure,
give it a
yeah.
couple of months.
I mean, I know I'm looking at this as a hard reset for Triple H for his booking.
Yeah.
So like I said, it remains to be seen what's going to happen. Let's keep moving. Let's get into the 6-man match. I was underwhelmed by the 6-man tag match. Uh, Usos and Solo against KO, Sammy, and Riddle. I'm not a big Riddle fan anyway, to be
Okay.
honest with you.
That was going to be, I was curious because I can't stand Riddle. Things fly out of his ass. I can't stand Riddle. So
He just looks like he's wrestling in his underwear after he got out of the shower or something.
it's terrible. And there's lots of people that have been huge fans of Riddle, and I'm like, I don't get it. I don't understand. I get that he's an athlete. I'm over the
They could make
stoner
him
character.
right. I think they're getting away from that a little bit though. A
I
little bit.
hope so. Well, they kind of
Uh,
have to, because wasn't that why he was gone?
well, yeah, that and also dating the porn stars and
Well, I
running
mean, that's
around on his
personal
wife.
life.
No,
Leave it
that's.
alone.
But I'm
But
not one to judge. We're not judging.
I
Uh,
digress.
we digress. Accepted. Uh, I do
But yeah,
think
I've
they could easily make him an ass kicker because he's got that
they
MMA
could.
background. They could make him a Brock like without the muscles, but same idea. Like a shooter.
Yeah,
Which
Bari.
oh,
Thanks, Bari.
thank you, Bari. Bari's our fact checker in the chat there.
Yes,
And it is appreciated.
very
Uh,
much so.
yeah, I liked the tease of Solo and Jay, where it looked like Solo might knock Jay on his ass.
I'm ready for the demise of the bloodline to see what happens. I'm
Oh,
more interested now in just the bloodline than Sammy and KO.
see, and that's a credit to Roman and everybody. The hottest thing going for months was Sammy and the Bloodline. Now we're
Yep,
seeing that the Bloodline can make compelling television without Sammy.
right.
Because right now there's not a challenger in the on the horizon for Roman right now. So
No,
it's kind of they kind of have to just kind of handle their business for a bit. And yeah, they
which I think is
between what
I,
happened.
so. What's going to happen then? Who's going to turn on Roman first? Who do you think is going to turn on Roman first? We know it's going to happen. So who do you think is going to?
Honestly, I think all three of them. I think he tries to
I
get
think
Solo to beat up his brothers, and Solo picks his brothers over Roman.
I think it's going to be Solo going after Roman. I used to think it was going to be Jay. I really did.
Everybody thought it was going to be Jay for a long time, but Solo's getting over.
Oh yes, he is very much. I enjoy Solo. He again, like we discussed, I think it was last time. He's not the perfect person for it, but he's the perfect person that WWE has.
He's the best guy they've got. Exactly.
He's the best guy they got in order to be
Until they
that part.
sign Jacob Fatu, Solo is the guy for that job.
Yep, he definitely is.
And I like that Solo got the pin in that match.
Hmm.
It was
Over
smart that
Riddle.
Riddle took the fall,
Yep,
so the tag champ stayed strong. Uh,
yep,
the Bloodline have proven that the slow burn works in
yes.
in creative,
Well, it's
which
been
is
so long since we've actually had a slow burn, which I think is why it's
it's true.
going over the way it has.
This is very true.
Because we don't get slow burns very often.
No,
Usually 3 months
everybody
and it's
goes
done.
if that.
Yeah.
With Tony, it's 3 weeks
Oh, if you're lucky.
if you're lucky.
If you're
Poor Ricky
lucky, it
Starks
goes
only
3
got
weeks.
two.
Yeah, no kidding. But yeah, I was underwhelmed with that match.
I'm
I
glad it
did feel
wasn't the
like
main event.
I it was a palate cleanser. It was a palate cleanser
Yeah. Hmm.
between because I know Damian Priest and Bad Bunny were before that match. Then they had the triple
Hmm.
tag, and then the
Then
one.
they had the main event.
Yeah, well, it was a double main event, which that didn't make any sense to me. Why it was a double main event, and then the top two main event matches weren't 1 and 2. But okay,
Yeah, I don't know. It's
but
well
it
the same
needed a
reason at
palate cleanser.
WrestleMania 18, Hogan and The Rock went before Lita, Trish, and Jazz, which went before Hunter and Jericho. So kind of the same idea. They got the palate cleanser in between.
Yeah, to kind of bring everybody back down a little bit
Mm,
before everybody
yeah,
got hot again.
yeah.
Although this crowd was hot all night, but
Oh man, they were caliente, as they
they,
say in Puerto Rico.
yes. And the uno dos tres counts for the 1 2 3. I
Yeah,
love that. That was
even during
great.
even during the corner punches, they were counting to 10 in Spanish.
Yep.
That's where you need a
Oh,
Bradshaw there to yell at them to speak English.
oh, JBL.
Oh, Bradshaw. So let's get into the main event. Cody and Brock. I've really liked how they did this build up. Uh, Brock is just a better heel than he is a babyface in general.
Very
Although
much
I
so.
did enjoy babyface Brock though, Farmer Brock, But
I did for a while for what it needed to be, but I'm glad he's back to a badass.
yeah, because he is the most credible shit kicker in wrestling across every promotion. He,
Yeah,
it's believable. You don't believe that anybody can kick his ass. I'll
right.
just say it.
Which
And
is what he should be.
right. and smartly they didn't have Cody kick his ass in this match.
No.
He got some hope spots and he got some good shots in there, but Brock pretty much dominated him the entire match until he made that one mistake and he ate the turnbuckle, and then we got
Ooh,
some juice,
a
which
lot of
is
some juice. That was the most juice I'd seen since probably Steve and Brett.
oh no, the most juice I ever seen was Eddie with Bradshaw.
Oh, yeah.
Judgment Day '04 when he took the chair shot. But
Yeah,
this was good old Puerto Rico juice, like
this was.
Abdullah and Colon,
It was
And
very.
and what I liked was the finish. Like I said, Cody didn't hit his finish to get the win. I don't think he hit the finish at all. Did he? Didn't hit a crossroads on Brock.
Yeah, I did.
Did he? Did he
It
hit, maybe hit
not to finish,
not to
but he
finish.
did.
I couldn't remember if he managed
He
to
hit
hit one or not.
two or he hit two in a row. I know for sure.
Okay. But and the point that Cody made last night, I really liked. He said that he beat Brock with a wrestling hold that countered a wrestling hold in a wrestling ring, but Brock was calling
Yeah,
it a cheap win.
yeah.
And Bully made a point on Busted Open that Brock is a collegiate champion wrestler. So that's really a feat to out wrestle Brock Lesnar, even though he's known more for just throwing people around and, you know, punching them in the face.
But that's also a good way to help Brock
Yeah,
get a little bit more heat because
yeah,
now
which
he's
he
going to
did,
be even more mad.
which he was on
Yeah.
Monday.
So it's working and I like
Yeah.
it.
Yes.
So this is the
Yeah.
first time I've cared about Brock in a while.
Right. And I like that Cody's having to struggle. He's having to do the work as his weight belt used to stay in Ring of Honor and
Yeah,
AEW.
they're not just
Uh,
5-minute matches. And I'm surprised because
right,
it's Brock. But
right. And he's not going to be the world heavyweight champion, which is a good call because I think for Cody, Roman is the mountaintop. He's got to be the guy that Cody beats to finish his story, and I think he
which
will.
will probably be
At
WrestleMania next year.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe it'll be for all three belts. You never know.
You and I have the same feelings though about multiple belts. Because I when they said they were bringing in another belt, I wasn't thrilled about it. Was not thrilled about it. Didn't mind that. I guess I get what they're doing, but kind of like we've discussed with AJ and Bari too, it feels like a consolation prize right now. And for Cody to win that, it's like, oh, well, you weren't quite good enough to beat Roman, so here you go. We'll give you a belt. And you can't, for him to finish
Well,
his
it's like
story,
I
you
said.
can't do it that way.
With Cody, it would be a consolation prize. With Rollins, it wouldn't because Roman hasn't beaten Rollins.
Correct.
So, so that's about the only way they can. Maybe AJ because AJ hasn't wrestled Roman in this run.
Not in
So
this run.
either one of those guys, I think, could make it credible. And and I'm almost certain, and I mentioned this to Bari on Gold Rush on Friday. I think that belt was made before Vince came back because I think Triple H was going to give that to Roman, get rid of the two belts.
Yeah.
And then when Vince came back, he's like, "Hey, nice belt, pal. Let's have a third one." That kind of thing.
Thanks,
That's
Vince.
good shit, pal.
It's good shit, pal.
Because and we mentioned that if you look at Triple H in some of these press conferences and promos, I don't think he's feeling it. I think he's rolling his eyes a little bit.
I'm sure he probably is because he probably got the feeling that he was going to get control, straight control.
Yeah. Now he
And
has a modicum of control with a
yeah,
mustachioed psychopath looking over his shoulder all the time.
with the villain just sitting there waiting.
Just twiddling his mustache.
He's going to tie Stephanie
Visceral
to the
tie
railroad
Stephanie to the
tracks.
river.
And
You beat me to it.
yeah, he's going to tie Stephanie to the railroad tracks and be like, all right, you're going to do what I say. Yeah. Oh, boy.
I digress. So that's Backlash. I
In a
thought good
nutshell.
show, really good show. Not a
Yeah.
bad match on the card.
Nope. I was, like I said, I think if I had to rate it the worst, quote unquote, match, the worst match would have been the triple. I
Oh,
think that was the
Theory,
worst match.
Lashley, and Bronson.
Yeah.
I agree with that. It was just it seemed like I don't, it looked like they were just going through the motions in that match,
Yeah,
which is easy for me to say because I'm a jabroni that's never taken a bump before. But
I
yeah,
don't know.
it just seemed like it was filler, you know.
Yeah, like
Which,
it was just
considering the
something
talent in
extra.
the match,
Shouldn't have been.
that's a disservice. Yeah. Uh, so Night of Champions is a week from Saturday in Saudi Arabia,
And we
and
won't see it live.
oh, we might. It's on. It'll be on at like noon
Oh, so we'll see
because it's
part
in
of it.
Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
true.
yeah, but so a couple developments surrounding the undisputed tag team championships. Number one, it sounds like Sammy's going to get to go. You know, he hasn't gone for several years, but apparently, as we understand it, Syria and Saudi Arabia have like resumed like talks and like to be in the Arab Union, whatever it is. I'm not up on my politics, so
Right.
there's not a, so it's not a death sentence, I guess, for lack of a better term, for Sammy to go over there. Although,
I
and
don't
you
know
made a
how much
point.
I would still trust it though.
I'm inclined to say the same thing. I would I would still be very nervous, at least the first time.
It's too fresh. It's still too fresh. It's too new.
Yeah. That's why I kind of think they ought to open the show with that match and then get Sammy the fuck out of the building.
Yeah, as quickly as humanly possible.
Uh-huh. Do a stretcher job. Just have him wheeled out
Yeah.
with a Kevlar blanket over him, Uh,
Straight to the limo, straight to the plane. Get on the plane, don't move.
pretty much. Because there's some guys that are going to fly private over there. Brock usually does, obviously,
Brock,
Hunter and Vince. So I would imagine Sammy will get. They'll take care. I hope they'll take care of Sammy. I'll just put it that
I
way.
hope they do too. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't have his own like quote unquote
Security.
secret service. Yeah. Protecting him to make sure
Well,
nothing.
we'll have KO there.
Okay.
He'll fight
He's
everybody.
only
You saw the
one
promo
person.
last night.
I
Yes,
know he will, but he's only one person
but
and
here's the thing. I mean, in the match, there's going to be four guys and three guys with him. So hopefully, if and I don't want to. I'm not putting this out in the universe. I don't want it to happen, but I'm sure that all those guys are going to look out for Sammy, and you know, I'm
I
afraid
hope so.
we're getting into a geopolitical tailspin in our conversation, and we need to get
Yeah,
out
let's
of
get
it
out of
there.
that. Let's get out of it.
Yeah. Okay, but uh, everybody thought that maybe they would get the Usos in the title match. They're getting Roman and Solo instead, which is very
Yeah.
interesting. Because, and like I was saying, maybe Roman has an opening to the title because tag champs get to go back and forth. So if they win the tag titles, Roman could conceivably challenge Rollins or AJ for that world title if he wanted to.
Yeah.
So the the internet would explode if that happened.
Yeah, probably. More than likely. It usually does.
Yeah, well, it doesn't take much to make the internet explode these days. But
No, it doesn't. We'll get to
so
that eventually.
there, I there's something that they're overlooking on this pay-per-view. It's Night of Champions. Every title is supposed to be on the line, right? That
Yes.
means Roman's challenging for the tag titles. His title's not on the line here.
Right.
And I know we said he doesn't have any challengers really like prepared for him right now. I had a thought of a way they could get around this.
Okay.
Tag title match. Okay, so Sami and Kevin defend the tag titles against Solo and Roman. Roman has to put his title up also. So
Okay.
if Sami or Kevin pins Roman, then they win his title. If they beat Solo, his Roman's safe. He doesn't lose his belt, but they lose the match, and Sami and Kevin keep their titles.
So Solo gets thrown under the bus, basically. He's
Or
the protection.
or that, or they win.
Yeah.
You never know. I'm just saying.
I
But I know it's too late because they haven't made that stipulation. But I, I mean, if you're gonna have all the belts on the line on the show, that's the way to do it.
Fari called you out.
Back with Beach '99. I'm trying to remember what the match was on that. That was Bar, you got to help me out with that because that was that the Sid? Savage Nash Sting match we talked about, Bari? He'll respond shortly. Uh,
Yeah, you will.
but yeah, so we've got Night of Champions is looking interesting. You got AJ and Seth. You got the tag title match. You got Cody and Brock. Yep, already confirmed that is the one that he was referring to. But other than
Who
that, they
goes
haven't really
over with
announced.
Cody and Brock? Because Cody went over this time. So are we doing a best of 3 with it ending at SummerSlam?
I'm inclined to think Brock because it's Saudi Arabia and the Grand Poobah of Saudi Arabia probably wants Brock to win. I don't know what they call their head of state over there. I don't want to be insensitive. Uh,
Right.
but yeah, I'm thinking Brock wins this one. Then maybe they do the blow off at like SummerSlam, and they
And
keep
then
saying
start
they're gonna
building.
fight. They
Yeah.
keep saying they're gonna fight. They haven't said what kind of match this is gonna be.
Are we going to get a fight pit?
I hope not. Not with Cody. I don't. The next fight pit I want to see is either Brock and Lashley or Brock and Riddle.
Okay. I'm all right
That's
with
that's
that.
what that's what I want. That's what I want. Cody, I don't think uh, should be in the fight pit. It's not his vibe. I
True.
think what
He's
I want.
wrestling.
You know what? They like to lean on Cody's heritage so much. I think they should do a bull rope match.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah,
Good point.
I get those every
Very
now
good
and then.
point.
I try.
On
Uh,
occasion, you have them. Not all the time.
on occasion,
Hmm.
I am a booking machine. Hey, I booked a whole 0-1 card in my head on Saturday, just in 3 minutes, and I think it looked good too.
Oh,
But
I'm
we'll
sure
get
it
into
probably
that
did.
tomorrow.
We can talk
We'll
about
get
that
into that
tomorrow.
tomorrow. Yeah. Uh, the other thing that happened last night, Prince Ali, I keep calling him Prince Ali. That's what I know him from the Indies. Mustafa Ali is the number one contender to Gunther and the Intercontinental Championship. Uh, I'm a little worried for Ali.
I am too.
He's, he's going to get uh, chopped into mincemeat probably by Gunther. And you were asking why they would go with Ali for this.
Well,
I was hoping for I was hoping for Bronson Reed. I'll be
me
honest
too.
in that
Me
battle royal.
too. We
House
both were.
fight,
Yeah, no
house fight of all
kidding.
house fights.
That'd been fun. That'd been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think they went with Ali for the Muslim audience. Saudi Arabia. Ali's from Pakistan. Well, he's not from there, but his parents are from Pakistan and India.
Yeah.
So maybe that's
The
a
more
feel
I
good.
thought about it, I was like, I bet I know why they did this. Because they're
Yeah.
going to put every single one of their wrestlers that they have from that area or remotely close
hmm
on
I
that
wonder
card.
I wonder what they'll do with Mansois because usually he's the one that wins the battle royals and the matches over in Saudi Arabia. But now he's doing the maximum male models thing with Massey and Otis.
I
So
get,
so
mm.
but I digress. Uh oh Massey. Poor guy. He's a hell of a worker, but the model gimmick isn't doing it for me unless it's Otis.
It's not doing it for me with Otis. I'm sorry. He's back to
Well,
being joke character, and I don't
they
like
haven't.
it.
Well, Otis is a funny guy.
He
They haven't
is,
really.
but
They haven't fully pulled the trigger on model Otis yet. On Otis.
Otis,
Yeah.
I guess, but I don't know. I don't know.
I know how some of our favorite podcasters feel about the girl, uh, Maxine.
Yeah,
We listen to some opinionated fellows in the realm of podcastery, so
that's
that's
half the reason I
and
listen to
that's
them is because they're opinionated.
it's best to leave it at that. I think. Uh, Let me think. What else with Night of Champions? I don't think there's anything else announced for Night of Champions, is there?
I'm trying to think.
There's not a U.S. title match announced yet. I don't. Wait,
Not
no, there is. I
yet.
think Lashley and I thought they announced Lashley in theory for the U.S. title. I
They'll
don't know
probably
that.
they'll probably reiterate that on Saturday or on Friday on
Friday, yeah,
SmackDown. Yeah.
yeah. So
Although, is it just me or is Lashley kind of on a lifeboat, just kind of floating out in the middle of the ocean right now?
he's kind of treading water. I'm hoping that the brand shift will help him out.
Yeah.
Like I said, they'll probably build him up a little bit and feed him to Roman, if I had to guess. There's still the opportunity with Brock because Brock's a free agent. They could always have the blow off that they didn't have yet, which is why I keep saying Fight Pit with those two because that's the only way that I can be interested in those two anymore. Because
Yeah,
in a
we've seen
regular
them so
match,
many
it's
times.
yeah, Fight Pit adds a little extra element to it. And both guys being MMA legends, I guess, for lack of a better term,
Or
it
just put
would
them in a
work.
cage. I mean, I guess it doesn't necessarily have to be a fight pit. Throw them in a cage, but it's just basically the same thing.
Yeah, yeah. Except it's well, but with the Fight Pit,
Not,
there's no ropes. I don't think. Yeah, Fight Pit's no
but
ropes, right?
fight pit's no ropes.
Right. I like that idea better. In Impact, they did a match, Mike Bailey and Kenny King, where it was it wasn't a cage, but they took the ropes down, and it was just like a martial arts match or something like that. Bailey wound up winning, so they could do
Like I said,
something
that
like that too.
they could do something like that, and that would be fun. I would enjoy
Yeah,
that. I usually don't like
mm,
gimmick matches, but I think that one is an exception to the rule.
when it's a gimmick that's tailor made for the participants, I'm okay with it.
Right. Yes.
If it's Anna Jay and Julia Hart in a no holds barred, no DQ match, I have a little bit more of an issue.
Are we getting into AEW now?
We might as well while we're thinking about it. You
No,
know,
I
a
don't want to
week
think
ago,
about it.
a little over a week ago, Minderz, we went to a show called War Games for Zero One USA,
We
and I
did.
told you I that was a better show than the last two or three Dynamites, if you ask me.
Which says a lot about the Zero One shows. You should go check them out.
It says it is a credit to Zero One. You ought to go check them out. Uh,
Yes.
check them out on Patron or Patreon.
Patreon.
Uh,
It's only $5 a
zero,
month.
yeah, as low as $5 a month, you can get on there. Just look up Zero One USA there, and you can see what we're talking about for some of these shows here. But with that said, good lord, they have, and, I'm not
I'm
knocking
so sick of pockets.
most
I'm
of the
so
talent
sick of
there I
pockets.
like. Uh,
Yeah, they just don't know what they're doing with them.
they've they're building
There's a lot of
pockets
them.
to the moon. Orange
There's a lot of
Cassidy.
them that I like. Oh yeah, Orange Cassidy.
Mhm.
There's a lot of them there that I like. They're just not using them the way
No,
they should be. Not at
no,
all. It's so bad.
they brought Miro back last week. I'm nervous because I don't know what they're gonna do with him.
Isn't that we got nervous about it the last time they brought him back, and they actually did something good with him then. When he
Hmm.
came back as the badass ass kicker,
The
I was
Redeemer.
fine with it.
Yeah, I
Yes.
hated how they brought him in originally when they made him the video game guy with Kip.
With the Mickey Mouse pajamas?
Yeah,
Yeah.
stupid.
Yeah.
That's probably Tony's
I want to know
pajamas.
whose idea. I know, but no, there's no way Miro would fit in Tony's pajamas, just saying. But yeah, Miro doesn't need anybody. He doesn't need,
No,
in my opinion, he doesn't need a mouthpiece. He needs to just be a Billy badass, is what he needs to be.
they could bring CJ in, the wife, to be like eye candy. That could work as long as they don't let her talk. I cannot stand when she talks on a microphone. She
With or
is
without the
annoying.
accent.
With with the accent was tolerable. Without, she was insufferable. I couldn't stand her. I was happy that Nia Jax put her through a table 10 weeks in a row.
I think that's the nicest thing I've ever heard you say about Naya.
Don't get used to it. Although she looks great these days. They showed pictures. She's dropped a lot of weight. She's getting healthy. So good for her, I say. Uh,
Barry, she
I was a
has a
little worried
potty
there,
mouth.
Minders. Well, so do we.
No, well, that was Barry's
Yeah.
comment. Sorry.
Well,
Anyway,
talk about her
yes,
hole on television. Uh,
she does look great though.
yeah.
She has toned up
So
a lot,
kudos to
and she
her.
looks great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You never know. Maybe she's angling for a return. Maybe that's been discussed. I don't
Well, I
know.
thought that was
It's hard
what
to
we were
say.
getting after the Rumble.
Yeah, I was a little surprised that they only had her there for a one-off, but not complaining because I'm not a big fan of her work. But that's neither here nor there.
I can only think of one person that is.
Me too. Good old Wayne. Uh, so back to AEW. We touched on briefly Julia Hart and Anna Jay in the No Holds Barred match. It was the
It could have been
to call
worse.
it
It wasn't terrible.
to
It could
call
have
that
been a
match
lot
the
worse.
Drizzling Shits would be an insult to Drizzling Shits everywhere. It's
It it must be Anna Jay that I don't like. It must be Anna
well,
Jay that I don't like.
she
I don't
is
know.
she's so green. She started wrestling on TV after I think she had maybe 3 matches in training, and then they put her on TV. And and yeah, I know she's banging Jungle Boy, but you know, it's I'm wondering if wrestling talent is sexually transmitted.
Obviously it's not.
Oh, Jack. Uh, I'm sorry. Are we coming off as cruel here? Oh, good
Okay.
Lord. That
I
was a
think I'm
sloppy.
under control now.
Okay. All right. Let's see. What did you think of the open house rules tag match? House of Black and Best Friends and Bandito.
I think the best friends and Bandito need to come up with a different freaking rule.
Well, yeah. It's. I mean, Bandito's a luchador. Why not go lucha rules? That would have been my idea. Where if a guy rolls out, there's no tags. It's just lucha libre.
Well, to me, it didn't seem like they really gave themselves any type of advantage.
No,
The team that's gonna beat them is the one that's gonna figure out
no.
which one, what rule they're gonna use
Yeah, they
to get
banned
their advantage.
they banned quote spooky witches from ringside. Julia had already had a match where she was in a oatmeal and toast no holds barred match with Anna Jay, so she was already out of the picture.
Yeah. So,
So hopefully the rest of the challengers going forward are a little bit more creative than my boy Chucky T.
but we're talking about best friends here.
That's true. That's true. I mean, yeah,
I like Trent. I'm not a big
it's.
fan of Chuck. I like Trent.
I get a
They're-
feeling, the rule is like the opposing team gets to pick a rule. That was the idea. I have a feeling that nobody but Renee remembered that
Probably
last
not.
Wednesday. Even Tony. And
Hmm.
Renee brought it up, and then it looked like they were confused. And Chuck just thought, what can I say that's funny?
Yeah, it was really bad.
It
I was
was
like,
really
when they
bad.
started saying it, I was like, really? This is what you guys are going with?
Yeah, it seemed
Did you
rushed. He
forget
didn't.
your line
I that's
backstage?
I don't know. And I like the House of Black. They're one of my favorite groups in AEW.
I do like the House of Black,
Like
but
each one of them individually are awesome,
they
and
are.
as a team, they're good. They're probably the best trio in AEW, not just because they have the belts. I mean, God knows they're better than the Elite and uh, well, best friends obviously. Uh, Death Triangle, I could do with that. I think Pac needs to go on his own,
I do
get
too.
away from. Uh, I could see them doing something with FTR and Mark Briscoe as a trio if the fast food booking that happened last week doesn't affect that. I said something on Twitter that I think you guys popped for on our little group chat where I said it's a credit to Tony Khan's booking that he managed to come up with an angle that makes me not care about Mark Briscoe, Jay Lethal, or FTR,
Yeah, it,
which are
it's
four of my
gotten to that
favorite people
point.
on the roster.
It's gotten to that point though.
He's making Mark Briscoe look like a schmuck.
He is. I'm surprised Mark's going for it, honestly.
I'm surprised Papa's going for it. They put Papa Briscoe on TV and they made him look
I
like a
know.
schmuck.
I know.
That's you know what I'm thinking.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, I just saw that too. Our buddy Barry saying, "Yeah, the big dummy in coveralls." Yeah,
Uh, I
yeah.
thank you for
With
reading that
all,
because I always forget that not everybody's watching this. So when you bring comments up, it's uh, I like Jeff Jarrett. I like Jay Lethal. Sanjay, I used to like when he was a full-time wrestler. I don't know what to think of Suttonham. He's it's weird to say I think Vince would book Sutton better because at least he'd get a match with the Undertaker out of it. I think Minderz may have froze. All right, hey, more of me. That's great. Uh, so, yeah, she just messaged me, stupid computer, so she'll be back here momentarily, but I'll keep talking. Uh, Keeping going on AEW, they had this lazily booked four-way match for the main event, all the pillars, you know, and this past week they had each one of them got their own video uh, feature. Hey, are you back?
Yeah, apparently I'm the one with
All
technical
right,
difficulties this week. So
I guess so. I just started talking about all four of the pillars getting their own video feature last week.
they did.
Uh, MJF was the good one.
I
I
actually
really
cared
liked the
about
MJF one.
Sammy after the end of his.
Sammy has me so confused. He's a heel, isn't he?
He's
Why is he
supposed to
doing
be.
a why is he telling the kids to follow their dreams and they'll all come true and it's a plucky babyface promo 101.
I
It's
didn't hate it. I didn't
Is
hate
he
it.
trying to make himself a babyface on All Access and seeing if it's carrying over into the show?
Well, he kind of is a baby face on All Access.
I have not watched 1 second of All Access because I don't want to break the fourth wall.
I broke the fourth wall. It actually, I won't go into it too much, but it is very much a what's going on with
Well,
Sam and Tay today. And
because they're
between
pretty
that
young people.
and Britt and Adam, what's their
Uh
latest
huh.
drama? And
Hmm.
it's like, okay, whatever. Now, last week I didn't watch it, but it is.
I
It's
All I can say is I'm glad that, from what I understand, Tony Khan is not on the show a whole lot.
he's not
I'm
on
sure
it a
he's there here
whole.
and there.
He's there because a lot of it's taped backstage.
Right, right. It's All Access.
Well, a lot of it's taped during the shows,
Right, right.
and like Sammy's
See,
mom was there and went over and hugged Tony Khan. I
I bet
mean,
Tony gave her a big hug
oh, he
because
did.
he likes to give the big hugs.
Yeah,
It's ridiculous. I mean, I'm not going to knock the guy for being emotional. I mean, that's happens, and I mean, he's a fan like we are. So, and he's got the keys to the candy store, and he's
I
got all
get
of
it,
his.
but I don't
It's
feel. I feel like if we were in Tony's position, had millions of
we
dollars that our daddy gave us, and we were running our own wrestling promotion,
we'd be a little more professional,
we'd be keeping the fourth wall up and very secure.
and we'd protect the business a little more.
Yeah,
Also, we would hire Bari to help out with the booking,
yeah,
and
and
AJ.
AJ and
Yeah,
AJ. I would be
but
the
that's
one that when it just got a little too far, being like, guys, no, because that's what I
oh,
usually do when we all book. It's like they'll start booking, I'll be like, guys, no,
I'd be
no.
I'd be the one that walks in while they're planning their 10-man ladder fuckfest. It's like, what the hell are you guys doing?
Actually, what the guys have always said, I would be in charge of the money. So, because I'm the one that thinks
I'm
of
good
all
with
the
that.
money stuff. So,
I'm good with that. I just give me the book, and it's it's a I know it's a pipe dream that we'd ever have our own wrestling territory, but
you know what? Me and the guys have been talking,
if
thinking about how much we would need to come up with because we've got between you, me, Bari, AJ, we've got a lot of friends in the business.
yeah, I've
Now it
got
might just be indie friends, but
right. Hey, and I have a name for the territory, as you know,
yes,
HFCW House Fight Championship Wrestling.
yep. Problem is it wouldn't all be house fight. Yeah, see,
No, there'd have to be some things.
that's Bari's
NOF,
NAWF.
North American Wrestling Federation.
I don't remember exactly what they had. I think that was it. And then
I
they
don't
each
think
had their own. And then they each had their own show too.
right. I
Because
know they always show me the drafts they do on their 2K23s. And then they try to put me in the middle, make me
New
pick
Age
which one's
Wrestling
better.
Federation.
New Age, okay.
Yeah,
Now that makes me think high spots and flippity doos and things
they
like
have
that. But
so. I'll put it this way: they put a little bit of everything in
okay.
their booking.
And flippity doos are fun, but you can't
If
do
there's
it
a
all the
reason for
time.
them. If
Yeah,
there's a reason for them.
yeah. You can't have if you have a match with all high spots, then you can't. put your feet back on the ground.
Right.
You get your head in the clouds like friggin' Young Bucks and people like that. But I'm getting grumpy here. I'm gonna
Let's
cool
get
out a
off
little
of
bit.
flippy stuff.
All right, all right. Christian Cage last week, best part of the show with that
I'll
promo he
agree.
cut on Double A and Ward. I thought he was getting a little bit close to
A
crossing the
little
line a little,
close. Yeah,
especially when he started talking about Brock. Because when he first started talking, I thought he was going someplace else.
I do too.
I was like, oh.
Let's not go.
I
Okay.
was I was so relieved when he said Brock Anderson. I was like, oh, don't don't do what
Yeah.
I think you're gonna do.
Well, even I said, I think in our chat, I was like, dude, don't get in a feud against Christian.
No, especially if you have deceased relatives.
Exactly.
Oh, Barry, this is Cage is
Thank-
brilliant. Christian, that is. I didn't think you meant Brian Cage, Barry.
yeah. Yeah.
Not a knock
Yeah.
on Brian Cage, but yeah, Christian, best promo in the company right now is not named MJF. Great heel. I hope he beats Wardlow. I hope he gets that TNT championship. I did it again. Get that comment down. There we go. But yeah, I would like to see Christian win that TNT title from Wardlow because he's got the heater with Luchasaurus, like
Let's say
watching
I'm
his
still trying to figure out what they're doing with Dino Douche. Um,
Dino douche.
Dino
Yeah,
Douche, whatever. But at least he looks more badass now.
he looks awesome right now.
Yeah, he does.
He looks less litigious.
Yes.
Like he won't get sued for his mask.
Well, obviously, not anymore.
No.
But yeah, I'm I'd like to see him in a match now, honestly. In a
uh,
match.
yeah, just to see if he's still reckless.
Yeah.
Almost killed poor Felix that one night, but
Again,
I digress.
Felix does all the flippy stuff.
He was
Douche
just
isn't
taking a
used to
backbone
it.
through a table.
I know, but still, no, I don't know. I just, yeah. Some people you just don't put together to work together.
That's true.
I mean, it's like putting
And
Marco Stunt with Almost.
I would pay to
They're
see
not gonna
that.
vibe.
I would pay to see Omos and Marco stunt
Of
because Marco
course
was
you
gonna bump
would.
like a champ. I mean, Omos has I don't know 2.5 feet on him and probably 300 pounds. That would
If not
be a bit
more.
of a mismatch, if
A
not
little
more.
bit. Yeah.
Ugh, like somebody
Yeah.
with community creations on 2K23, make that match happen and send us a video. I'm trying to think if
Yeah.
there's anything else. Should we talk about the cage? Uh, Omega and
Uh,
Moxley. I mean, the less said, the better.
That match made
I
me
call,
nervous. And it made me nervous for a reason.
was it when Omega
Oh,
went through the cage and his leg got caught?
no. That part didn't bother me.
Oh, oh,
I'm kind of heartless. Um, actually, it was when Mox had the ring
oh,
hook,
the turnbuckle.
the
It had
turnbuckle
Warhorse
in.
flashbacks. You were talking about
Oh,
that.
I did. I had terrible Warhorse flashbacks. And I know this is jumping back to 01 again, but I've seen what those hooks can do
Uh,
and how it can
just
rip somebody's mouth open.
trying yeah, just for context for those that don't watch 01, without getting too graphic, Minderz, talk, say what happened there so people know.
Well, I think it was a no holds barred match or no disqualification, something along those lines. Because I saw it on YouTube. That was where I watched it.
Hmm.
I actually
Hmm.
wasn't there for that one. This was before I started going. But Gary J from down at St. Louis, Anarchy, and all over, and Warhorse at the time was known as Jake Parnell,
Right.
and uh, they had
New
tore the
daddy, by the
ring up.
way, Warhorse.
New
Shout
daddy,
out to Warhorse.
and he got a battle pony in the at home now. But Gary J had taken the ring, like when the ring comes apart, there's a hook that's on the turnbuckle. There you go. Bari and them, it happened a month before they started going. And
Mm.
he had put, Gary J had put the hook in Jake Parnell, or Warhorse's mouth. And when he went to tug it out, he ripped like this off of his face. It was
Very grisly.
very, 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 very bad. I was looking to see if I could
I,
find a picture of it because I had one at one point.
no, no pictures. Less
You
pictures,
don't
the
want a
better on
picture?
that. No pictures,
Well, that.
please. I got
But
to assume
anyway,
they may have gotten a talking to in the back after that match.
I,
I would
I
imagine.
don't know. I don't know if they did or not. See, the thing is that it was an accident. It was a complete and
It
total
was an
accident.
accident,
So
sure,
how can you have
but
a
that's the thing,
conversation with somebody when it's an accident?
right? It's like Masada setting himself on fire. You can probably have a conversation with him.
Right.
But I digress.
But
At least
it.
Nick Gage works smart in death matches. He's not. He doesn't get crazy. He just likes to play with the toys.
Okay.
I know you're not a big fan of Nick Gage, but
I'm not,
he's grown on
but
me. He's grown. He's grown on me the last couple of years. But
I know he has, and I I
digress.
guess
I'm
I just
digressing.
remind I as I say, it just reminds me we're going to Jericho then, because Jericho saw Nick Gage was pretty popular because of, Dark Side of the Ring and all that
He's
stuff, and he
trying.
rode his coattails.
Yep, the writer of Coattails, Chris Jericho.
You're popular, let me jump on here and
Yeah.
follow you for a while, and then when you're not
Hey,
popular anymore, I'll look to see what the next best thing is.
hey, Roderick Strong, you got a big pop when you debut. Let's have a match.
Yeah, we're gonna have a match now.
We're gonna false count anywhere. It's gonna be awesome.
So dumb.
With no build. It's.
Hmm.
Uh,
I mean, I guess I
I
get
love
where they're
Roddy,
coming
but
from with it, but
I mean, yeah, it's an offshoot of the Cole stuff, but still,
it
it's.
is. But then why isn't it like one of the other jobbers from, sorry, you don't like that. One of the other guys from the Jericho Appreciation site. Why does it have to be Jericho? And why can't Jericho be barred from the ring? Because Cole's barred
They,
from the ring.
they should have it where Cole and Jericho cannot be in the building until the pay per view. They have to stay away.
Yeah.
They can do promos, but they would not be allowed within, like, say, 50 feet of each other until their match.
Yeah.
That way, when the bell rings, then
Go
you
for
got
it.
the build up.
Let it
Uh,
explode.
yeah, they could have. I would love to see a match between, like, Roddy and Garcia. That would be an awesome match.
That would be fun. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, even Roddy and Hager, if they can dust Hager off for a match for once.
I'm throwing this out here. Do you think Kyle's coming back?
I think he is. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to convince Tony to bring Bobby Fish back.
E.
Just to get the just to get the just to get the
Just to
group
get the
back together.
group back together.
Plus, I love Red Dragon as a tag team.
Yes, I do
O'Reilly and Fish,
too.
Red Dragon and FTR for the tag belts. Come on,
That's
let
what
me
we
have this,
wanted back
Minderz.
when it was hot. We had this discussion though. What, 2 years ago? We had this discussion.
You could have had a tag division with FTR, the Kingdom, Red Dragon. I can
Let's
go
throw the
on.
Elite in there just so that way we have somebody to take the pin.
Sure, okay. Get the Lucha Brothers. You could have had the Briscoes back then.
Yes.
I mean, I know Briscoes is Time Warner's fault, not Tony's. I'm sure Tony would have loved to have them on TV. But
Yeah, but
so I can't blame that on Tony as much as I want to. Uh, but they could have had the best tag team division in the country
they could have.
if they wanted to.
They could have.
They could
And
have.
even then the Best Friends was still hot.
Mm-hmm.
They were very popular. So
That's
that would
Santana
have
and
even,
Ortiz,
yeah. But
who, for my
no.
money, is still the best team that never won the AW titles that had a shot at it.
Yeah.
And they never really even had a shot. I don't think they ever got a title shot, did they?
Have they made up yet?
I don't know. I know Santana's still under contract, but I don't know what the deal is with that. So I can't say. But
Okay, so let's
I'm
talk
just
about
saying.
the elephant in the cage match.
Would that be Cyrus the Virus and his screwdriver of doom?
Yes. It would be.
Saw it coming a mile away. I saw it coming like a month ago that he was going
Yeah.
to turn on Kenny at some point. I don't know if he's with the BCC or not, but I thought he was going to turn heel and Takeshita was going to turn heel also and be his new guy.
Takeshita is really good.
He's really
Ta-
good.
Takeshita would
Ta
not make a good heel.
Takesh Takeshita.
Okay. You want me to use the other name that I know him as? I
I'd
will.
prefer if you please don't, but at least get the name right. But if Callis is his mouthpiece, I think it could work.
I
Could
don't know.
could
I
not
think
maybe
he's too
not
much. I
definitely.
think he's too much of a baby face right
He's
now.
he's too nice.
He's too nice.
Uh,
Thank you, Barry.
oh
I'm not
yeah,
reading that one because you
no,
didn't want me to.
I don't
But
want to take all of Corny's names on the
yeah,
show.
so we'll
Uh,
leave that one out. The
yeah,
funnest one out of all of them, we leave that one out. Okay.
right. Uh, I don't know who else I could see putting Callis because he doesn't really fit with the BCC.
No. So I hope he's not trying to do he's going to take over what was Regal's
Regal.
spot.
I hope not because he's no Regal.
He's
I think
not.
I like Callis. He's no Regal.
Callis is too much of the show
He's a
where,
he's too carny.
yeah,
Regal was like legit.
yeah, like we're going to kick your ass and that's how it's going to be.
You know who
Um,
I could see putting in Regal's spot if he wanted to do it? Fit Finley.
I could see that.
If there's
That would
one
work.
guy I think Tony needs to hire is Fit Finley because number one, he will work with the women and make them better because he did it in WWE.
And we all know they need that.
Uh-huh. And he's also can be an on-screen. He's got the name. He's got the on-screen talent. They could conceivably bring in David, do something with him
Yeah.
because David Finley's in Bullet Club right now.
Yeah.
Never open weight champion, by the way. Just
Yeah.
beat Tamatanga for that one. So
Oh, wow. Okay. I did
I
not
like
know
David
that.
Finley. I've been high on David Finley for a few years. But yeah, I'm a fan. I like him. I don't know about him in Bullet Club right now. It's still kind of new. But I'm really confused because it seemed like I think it was WrestleMania weekend, maybe before that. Jay White lost a loser leaves New Japan match to Eddie Kingston on the San Jose show when the night
Right.
that Sasha won the women's title.
Right.
After the match was over, Jay lost, so that was him wrapping up with New Japan, and at the time he was the leader of the Bullet Club. And after the match, he got attacked from behind by Finley, who took his spot in the Bullet Club. So that makes me think that Jay should be out of Bullet Club, but now he's in AEW doing Bullet Club
Bullet
Gold
Club
with
stuff.
Juice.
Yeah.
So you would think that he could still be a heel because he's an awesome heel, but just make him the Switchblade, make him kind of how he was when he was before he was with Bullet Club. But
Are they trying to recreate Bullet Club? Is that what we're kind of getting with AEW?
if they are, they need more guys.
Yeah, they do. No, they don't need any more guys. That's the
No,
thing. They have
no.
enough on their
Well, I
roster.
mean, they've already got the Elite. They don't really need another Bullet Club.
Yeah, but wasn't
Uh,
the Bullet Club was like what, 5, 6, 7 people?
they've kind of gone the way of NWO, where they've had like upwards of like
Too
eight or
many.
nine people. Yeah,
Yeah.
the original Bullet Club I loved. It was Finn, Prince Devitt, Carl
Mhm.
Anderson, Tamatanga, Bad Luck Fale. Just four guys. Then they started adding people. They added the Young Bucks. They added uh, Yujiro, AJ. I liked AJ in it. I
Yeah.
thought he was a good fit. Omega. Then just over the years has gone more. Gallows and Anderson left, and then they brought in Tonga Loa, who's Tama's brother, and they were the tag team.
I was gonna say
Now,
I like the Finn and the AJ. I like those two eras of leading the Bullet Club.
yeah, yeah. I liked the Ring of Honor Bullet Club, the Bucks and Cole, for what it was when they were in
Yeah.
Ring of Honor, because Cole was a good leader for
I
for
was
that group.
I was gonna say it's Cole though as the leader, and that was when
Yeah,
Cole was
hot. He
money
was.
and
Yeah,
bigger than he is now.
yeah.
But
The Bucks were still annoying as hell, but
yeah, the
but it
Bucks
was
are
like
still
them and
annoying.
it was like them and Paige. It was like the core group in Ring of Honor, which I liked that group. It was
Yeah.
when Paige first really started finding his groove and he was doing the hangman stuff. and he wasn't
Where
wearing
is
glittery
Hangman?
pants. He was on one of the house shows over the weekend. Wrestled
Okay.
wrestled Big Bill, I think.
Oh, jeez.
But I think he's been selling the eye. I think he wrestled with an eye patch on because he's selling that screwdriver attack from the BBC,
Okay.
which I approve of. That's good long-term storytelling.
That is. That is. Speaking of, we didn't talk about that. That happened.
Oh,
Didn't that happen last night on
it
Raw?
happened Monday. Yeah, it happened on Friday
Friday.
on SmackDown.
Yeah, it was on
Bianca,
SmackDown.
shades of the old Freebirds JYD angle from the early '80s. Asuka blinded Bianca with the mist,
In her
and she
hometown.
and
In
she
her
blew a
hometown.
full load into Bianca's face.
She
At the
did.
risk of sounding crass, I was in the kitchen and Stacy was watching, and she's like, "You got to see this." And I looked, and yeah, just full.
All over. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was her
it was
entire face. She wasn't going to miss, unlike some people
no,
on AEW do.
no,
But
like
yeah,
Julia Hart. But
Julia
I
Hart.
digress. Uh, but then they showed in the back. The only thing they did wrong, they didn't have Montez there with her when she was in the trainer's room.
Yeah, I wondered about that.
But I'm hoping
But
that they have it where I
wait, was
hope
that
they actually do a full blinding angle. Then maybe that's how they get the belt off of her.
maybe?
You never
You're
know.
gonna have to come up with a good reason to get the belt off of her because she deserves that belt.
Well, lack of vision is a good reason.
Yeah, very good reason. But you got to have somebody else though that can carry it. And right now, the only other person I can think of that can carry it's Asuka.
Well, it's the Raw belt, so it's got to go back to Raw. So
Okay,
maybe
so
it
then
goes to Rhea.
can Rhea and them just switch this, or let's just switch this because this is so dumb.
I
This is
have
bothering me about the draft.
okay. This is a great segue, Minderz, because I kind of teased this a little bit. I have a solution to the belt problem in
Okay,
WWE.
okay,
It's not one that I'm crazy about, but it would work.
okay,
Now, if ideally it would just be one world title, one tag, one women's title, go back and forth and all that.
right.
But that's not going to happen because
No,
if they don't have all the belts, they can't sell all the belts on the website and make all the money. You
exactly.
know, not knocking it. I'm a collector, as you
Hey,
can
and you know what?
see. I got the
I'm cool with the Intercontinental belt, and I'm cool with the U.S. champion. I actually do like the two mid card belts. I just wish they would use them the way they used to be used back in the day.
right. Okay, so I actually have an illustration of my idea, Minderz. If you're ready
Okay,
to see this.
let's
All
see.
right. I put in a lot of time on this at work when I should have been working.
Okay,
Okay, so here you see all the titles here at the bottom part. Now, what I propose is at the top you have all the belts that would go between shows. Like, get just for the purposes of this argument, this is the belt I chose for the tag team belt because I love it. The old Raw tag team titles from like the late 2000s.
right.
Uh, so we got that Universal Championship, the Women's Championship, and again just going with the classic, and the Women's Tag Team Championship because why not?
Okay,
So then you go down to each show, and I put NXT on here too because the women's tags have been defended on there, so I guess technically that would work.
right.
But for purposes here, then all these four would be just all over the place on pay-per-views, whatever. Then on Raw, you would have your World Heavyweight Championship. You would resplit up the tag titles as much as I hate it. You have the Raw Women's and the Intercontinental, and that'd be your four belts that are featured every week on television.
Okay,
SmackDown, get the WWE Championship. I mean, you can't get rid of this if they wind up just going with one belt in the future for Roman
they got
and
to
making
keep
that
it.
the SmackDown belt. I'm worried they're going to keep the Universal because it's blue, but this is the crown jewel of the WWE for the last 60 years. This WWE
Right.
Championship. So keep this on SmackDown. Make this your top guy that's not named Roman. Say just for
For argument
argument, just
purposes, we'll go AJ. How's
we'll
that?
say AJ. We'll say AJ here.
Yeah,
We'll say Seth here for the World Championship. I'm using my mouse as a pointer, but you can't see my
you
mouse,
can't
so I don't
see
know why
it.
I'm doing it. Uh, so yeah, so say AJ's the world champion. Let's say that maybe just for argument, the Usos have the SmackDown belts. Sammy and Kevin have the Raw belts.
Okay,
Uh, the SmackDown title right now, Rhea has it. Let's say it moves over to say Asuka, and
okay,
then Rhea gets the Raw belt.
okay.
Theory has Theory and Gunther are good. They're on the right
They're
shows,
fine. Yeah, they're
so
fine.
they're good. And then NXT, you got Mello, you got Gallus. I think Gallus
Hmm.
is still tag champs.
Yeah,
Uh,
last I think so.
well, Alba and Isla have to do something with the women's tag team championships because they're on SmackDown.
Yeah, I was real confused when that whole draft went down, but we talked
Yeah.
about that last
Well, I
week.
say I think they got painted into a corner because they had the match booked and both teams got drafted
Yeah,
before the match happened. Uh, Indy vacated the women's title. They're solving that. I'm hoping it's Roxy, but you never know.
you're
Then
hoping for Roxy, and I'm hoping for Cora. Actually,
Cora could do a hell of a job as the champ. She's a hell
she
of a heel
could.
right now.
She
Put
could.
her with Breaker as like a power couple kind of angle.
That would be awesome.
That would work. And then North American, you got Wesley still has the belt, although I'm hoping eventually goes to Ilya or maybe Dijak.
I would be fine with them. You know, the other person that nobody talks about anymore, and Bari and I are huge fans of it, is Nathan Frazier.
I like Nathan Frazier. He needs some more time. He needs more TV time. He needs
We
to get
actually saw him. We saw him at when New Wave was a thing,
Oh wow.
and oh yeah, he was a New Wave, and he was really
Okay.
super nice to us. He came over, talked to us for about 5 minutes, and
Same name or did he have an indie name?
nope, same name,
Hmm.
same name. But see,
Wonder
this
if
was
that's his real
before.
name.
That was it was before he went to NXT.
Okay.
This was before because he came over. It was during COVID era, and when it was smaller shows everywhere and all that fun stuff. But yeah,
Yeah.
he was. I got a bracelet with Nathan Frazier somewhere around this place.
Nice.
But yeah, that's somebody I'd like to see take it off Wesley. In all
That
honesty, I love Iliad. I love Dijak. But
Ilya, I want to see. Actually, I'd prefer see Ilya go for Carmelo.
yes, I do
That
too.
would be an interesting match with those two.
It would be
So anyway, so back to this here. So these are the titles that get defended on TV if they have like a Raw exclusive pay per view, a SmackDown exclusive pay per view. That's your main event, that world title, WWE title.
hmm
But for the big shows, your Rumble, your SummerSlam, uh, even like the Saudi shows, Tribute to the Troops, whatever. That's
right,
when you get Roman against whoever. It doesn't have to be one of the two world champions. It can be whoever.
right,
And going between shows, with the women's title, same deal. You could theoretically, let's say Rhea is the the all around WWE Women's Champion, then they have a new Raw Women's Champion. Then Rhea's going back and forth. So
right.
this is doable. I'm looking at this like the territories.
Yeah.
If they make Raw, NXT, and SmackDown like a separate territory, like if the WWE is the NWA, then Raw's Charlotte, SmackDown's Mid South, NXT say Georgia.
hmm
Then every company had their top title, had their tag title, they had their secondary men's championship. The women's championship was kind of a moot point back then in the territory, so this is an anomaly for that argument
Right.
with the women's title. But yeah, just treat each one like a territory. Nobody moves back and forth like from here. But then you have your traveling world champion. You have your Ric Flair that would go all over the country in Japan defending the world title. Then you'd have your Briscoes, your whatever have you, and
Yeah.
they would be the attraction. They would show up. You could have a WWE World Tag Team Championship match on Raw if you want to.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe I'm rambling too much, but this is what I'm thinking. And I know it probably won't happen because you know convoluted and
Vince? What? Okay, go on.
yeah, Vince likes to fix what isn't broke. I'm fixing what is broke in
Right.
this scenario. But
Right.
that's not normal for Vince. He doesn't like that. It's like that doesn't work for me, pal. That kind of thing. But yeah, that's how I would do it. If anybody has a better idea, let me know. But plus, I want to see them bring this tag title back, this '02 to '08 or '09
The
Raw
only thing
Tag Team
I would
Championship.
suggest, I would just have one women's title and not two. I wouldn't have one on each show. And if you're
Well,
gonna,
that would work if all the women were on one show.
yeah,
Because if they're split up, then the girls on, say the titles on Raw, the girls on SmackDown are gonna get pissy and say, "Why we can't get a shot at this because we're not on the same show." It was kind of the same
but they
problem they had.
could. What I'm
They
saying
had
though
the
is let the Raw, or whoever the main women's champion jump back and forth. That way you have SmackDown and you have Raw.
now see
I don't
that
know.
works. That works if you just all together just go
One
this
belt,
at the
period.
top.
Yeah.
and then do away with
Well, keep
these
the
ones. Keep the Intercontinental, keep the U.S., keep the North American,
and get
even
rid of the
keep
rest of them.
and keep the women's tag in NXT.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
But then you would just, and I don't, you know what? I would say keep all the NXT belts because that's technically still developmental.
I would say technically
And
that's a
I
different
wouldn't,
brand.
I don't think Roman would go defend his title in NXT.
Although him and Breaker would be quite
That,
interesting.
I'd be down for it. But I don't know. That's just me on my little soapbox there with my ideas.
I was surprised that Von Wagner was in on that uh, for
Battle Royal.
Gunther's. Yeah, that surprised me.
Yeah, I don't think they know what to do with him. They're still doing an angle with him in NXT, but
I,
I kind of feel bad for him. They're kind of making him a sympathetic baby face because I don't know. It's a whole thing. I guess he had a head injury or something as a baby, and then people are calling him a freak in the locker room. It's kind of sad. I feel bad for him, but
back in the day, we wouldn't have.
nope, no, because most wrestling fans can't be assholes if they want to be.
We really can be.
Yeah, I try to take the high road myself because I am a pantheon of class and
Depends
respect.
on who it is.
That's true. That's
Okay,
true.
Prodigy.
Yeah. Yep, I'm just going to
No,
save this.
he did not break my feet or my foot. You know, this is the wrong show. Nobody knows who you're talking
I
about.
know. I know. I did that to pop you, Minderz.
Okay, well, you popped me.
All right. All right. Well, let's move on. I know I had told you we were going to go short. I think we're actually going to go regular time today because we're actually doing
Looks
pretty
like
well.
it. I was gonna
All right.
say it's all right.
So let's get into our regular feature here, Minderz, and show the latest inductee into the Hall of Fame, shall we? I told you I had an updated video.
I know. I see. You're gonna have to update it again in 2 weeks.
I'll probably wait a few episodes to get a full screen. It occurs to me every time I watch that the first one with Andre Taker and Muda looks like a really weird family picture.
Kind of does actually.
Like Muda's
Uh,
Muda's the insane child, and Taker and Andre because they're huge. They're
right.
I guess I'd say Andre would be the dad. Well, you know, it's the 21st century. Maybe they're both the dads. You know,
Could be. No, that doesn't work for. That doesn't work.
that's an unsettling mental picture.
Yeah. I don't. Ew.
Ooh,
Okay. Yeah, damn
anybody
it,
want a
Mark.
peanut? But I digress.
Oh.
So let's let them wait no longer. Here we go. The JTR Hall of Fame. Every episode we have somebody new, and so far we've only had one manager going in, Minderz, and you know who it is. So you're giddy. We got Giddy
I
Mindy
know.
going right now,
Get him into going.
and
Hey, I made this suggestion.
you did. This was your request, and I was gonna do it eventually anyway, but I was like, let's do it. It sounds good. I was down.
Yeah.
So our inductee this episode, guy we got to meet about a month ago, Minderz,
Yep.
could not have been a nicer guy, but here he is, the mouth of
There
the
he
South,
is.
Jimmy Hart, one of the greatest managers of all time. I put him in my top three, easily top five, but I would
I would
almost
say
say
he's
top
top
three.
five for. He's top five. I can't go top three.
Well, top. I'm gonna guess your top three: Heenan, Corny, Heyman.
Yes.
I see. I would consider putting Jimmy above Heyman,
Okay.
but and then like
JJ's
Mr.
got to be in
Fuji
there
maybe
somewhere though.
JJ be in the top 10.
Okay.
Mr. Fuji probably my number five.
I liked Fuji, but let's get to Jimmy Hart because
Let's
I
talk
love
about
Jimmy Hart.
let's talk about Jimmy.
I
Uh,
love Jimmy.
I mean, not born into the wrestling business. He was a star before wrestling, as we know. There you
Yep.
see. Look at that. The Gentrys, a Memphis pop group from the '60s. There's Jimmy, their third from the right, where it says Jimmy next to his foot. Uh,
Thanks for the clarification.
hey, I aim to please. But they were a one-hit wonder. Keep on Dancing was the single that they put out. It was a big hit. And actually,
I was gonna say you gotta take the picture down so you can show it.
there you see
Looky
this
there.
the record. I couldn't get one in mint condition because it's I don't know what edition this is, but you can see right there. You
There it
got Jimmy
is.
Jimmy autographed this for me at the Swerve Circle Expo. Could not have been a nicer guy, like I said. Complimented my Otomix workout pants that I was wearing. I
You
think
had
he
some
might have thought they were
interesting pants
slacks.
all weekend.
Hey, you know what? I live for comfort, and if I could boycott denim altogether in favor of Zubaz and Otomix pants, and I would, but I would probably get side eye from the missus if I tried to do that,
Probably.
and
Probably.
and my father and my nieces and you.
Well, no, I wouldn't say a whole lot. The only reason I say that's because right now with the foot,
Uh-huh.
pajama pants is all I wear
That's
anymore.
the thing. When
So,
I had a broken leg, it was all like track pants, like Adidas pants that snapped up the sides, and then
yep.
sweatpants, and that was all I wore for about 4 months. They even let me wear that to work. That was saying something when I
Well,
when I
that's
was
nice.
doing physical therapy. But
Yeah.
anyway, we're getting off on a tangent, Minders.
Yep.
Back
Let's get
back to
back.
Jimmy. Back
Back
to
to
Jimmy.
Jimmy.
All right. So after the run as the pop star, he I guess the story goes he helped Jerry Lawler record an album or maybe a
Okay.
song. Like he was like one of the musicians that they brought in to because Jerry can't sing, and
Duh.
he would tell you. I may
Right.
need to find that song, but anyway, I guess they hit it off, and Jerry asked Jimmy if he'd ever consider getting into the wrestling business. Jimmy, well, he was a longtime fan, as he says.
Yep.
So Jerry brought him in as his manager, and well, that's not Jerry. That's just the King. I think
Yeah,
that might
I
be Bob.
know.
That's Bobby Eaton.
Is that Bobby
That's my
Eaton?
mistake. Yeah. But anyway, so he brought him in as a manager. They were doing the heel thing. They would flip flop back and forth. Jerry was always turning. He was like the Big Show in Memphis. He was always going heel to babyface, whatnot.
Yeah.
Eventually, Jimmy started the first family of wrestling. This was his big stable. You see the Midnight Express there. Got Bobby Eaton, Dennis Condrey, Iron Sheik.
Cheeky
Uh,
baby.
I'm not entirely sure. I'm a little fuzzy on my Memphis wrestling. If Keith Gibson was in the chat, he could probably tell me who some of these guys were. But this was like the dominant heel faction. It expanded later on to this. Who's that young fellow in the green jacket, Minders?
That's corny.
But yeah, this is a more pronounced group. You still got Condrey, you got Ken Patera. Looks like I think that's Brickhouse Brown, maybe.
I think
Uh,
so.
the Assassins, the Grapplers, all kinds of really, really like solid heel talent in Memphis. Uh,
Yes.
they were so good at being heels. And Jimmy Cornette was like Jimmy Hart's like apprentice manager.
Which that's so funny to think of now.
I know, but just look, Corny's so baby faced in this picture. Then you see
He
Jimmy. Jimmy looks like he walked off the cast of Three's Company.
yeah.
But no, first family that was a big deal. We showed this again. I guess this was during his feud with Jimmy Hart. Bobby Eaton had a crown on. Uh, at one point, he got together with Andy Kaufman.
Yeah.
He was kind of like the well,
Caretaker.
he was the Minderz of this angle because he was the one stirring shit up between them. He was they would they would set up Waller for beatings and whatnot and things like that. Uh,
I still say my favorite. Are we going to talk too much about this about Andy and Jimmy and Lawler?
we'll touch on it.
Okay. Because my
So,
favorite was when it was the handicap match.
oh yeah, yeah, because neither one of it's Lawler against two non-wrestlers essentially.
Right. So fun.
Now that's not the match where the assassin came in and gave him a pile driver, right?
No.
Okay, that's a different match. I think that was just The
I was
angle was
thinking of the
so.
one where Jimmy and Andy were like, "Okay, we're gonna both go at the same time." They were in different corners,
Uh-huh.
and then when Jimmy said go, and he ran, and Andy was still standing in the corner.
Yeah, that's you know what that is an MJF move.
It is.
That's I literally did that a couple weeks ago when they were doing the dive. Sammy did the dive and
I
MJF
know.
pulled up. So yeah. So
It,
MJF is a heel in the Kaufmanian sense.
yes, he is.
All
I
right.
think that's why I like him so much, but that's
It could
beside the
be.
point.
It could be. So after about I want to say 10 years or so in Memphis, uh, Vince gave him a call, brought him up. This is the, and I know this because he told me this is his first promo picture from the WWF,
Oh wow.
like the first 8x10 that he would have. I know this because he still had them at the expo.
I thought he did.
And my buddy Keith Gibson, friend of the show, Clubhouse Lounge Radio, he grew up, him and his dad going to shows in Evansville for the Memphis
Ah.
territory.
Mhm.
So he loves Jimmy Hart. So I actually got him this picture autographed for him at the expo,
Aw.
and I think he may have peed a little bit out of excitement when he got it. Now the joke's on me. I didn't get one for myself, but I got the record. So
You got the
um, yeah.
record though.
If he's back next year, I'll get an 8x10 and I'll get that framed. But no, look at the look. I mean, he didn't wear these kind of suits in Memphis with the musical notes
No.
and the still had the
I assume
sunglasses
this
and
is
the
when he
hair.
was with Honky Tonk Man.
This is before that. This was
Oh, this was before.
85.
Okay.
This is 85. Uh,
Okay.
I've got a whole gallery of pictures of all the guys that he managed. So we'll
Oh,
get to
I'm
that.
sure you do.
Uh, yeah, but he's very over the top here. Can we just say how magnificent the mullet is?
He still has the mullet.
He does. The man is he's 79 years old. He does not look
And he
any
doesn't
different
look
than
any
he did in
different.
1996.
No, he doesn't.
All right. So just to get into his some of the guys that he managed, starting the first guy was Greg the Hammer Valentine.
Nah.
There he is when he was Intercontinental Champion. I like that jacket though. Looks like
That's a pretty cool
that part.
jacket.
Yeah, yeah. It's a
Yeah.
cool belt too, but we'll talk about that someday on Gold Rush.
Yeah.
Uh, for a brief time, he managed King Kong Bundy.
Mhm.
In, he managed him in at WrestleMania 1 when he beat SD Jones in 9 seconds. Looks like he's about to pick his
Yes.
nose there, or maybe get
I
something
know
out
that
of his
was kind of
teeth.
like, yeah, maybe that's it.
Yeah. Here we go. There's how I first came to know Jimmy was when he managed the Heart Foundation.
Heart Foundation.
Because when I first started watching wrestling, it was about November of '86. So these guys
That
they
was
hadn't won the tag titles yet.
probably, yeah, as I say, that was probably about the same time I did, maybe a little bit before.
Yeah.
Um,
Because I remember Randy Savage damaging Steamboat's larynx on the guardrail. That was one
yep,
of the first things I really remember.
yep,
I'd watched it before, but I don't remember any of it because my brother watched it when I was really little, and he
yeah.
was afraid of Ox Baker, but he hates when I tell people that. But to be fair, who wasn't afraid of Ox Baker back then?
That's true.
But no,
Well,
so the Heart Foundation, actually, that was what he called his group was the Heart Foundation, not just
yeah,
Brett and Anvil. It was the whole
no, it
group
was the
was the Heart
whole,
Foundation,
yeah,
and then eventually they just got whittled down to Brett and Anvil as the tag team.
yep.
But so he had them. He had look at this guy, the adorable
Oh my
Adrian
gosh.
Adonis. Ugh,
Wow.
would this gimmick fly today, or would the woke masses pitch a fit with
There's
this?
Effie.
Well, there is Effie, but Adrian's heterosexual though. Would it be
Kayfabe.
considered? Would that be
Kayfabe.
considered misappropriation or something? I don't know how it is. He
I
was a
don't know.
dandy. Adrian was a dandy back then.
But see, back then
He was a character.
it was a totally different world we lived in. So,
Yeah, I can't imagine the things that he got called at the walking to the ring back then in
yeah.
1985, 1986, 87. Yeah, he probably was not kind. But he could
No.
work his ass off though. He was such
Yes,
a
he
good
could.
worker.
Yes.
I liked the original New York bad boy Adrian when he had the leather jacket and he teamed up with Jesse Ventura.
Yep.
Uh, this has a soft spot in my heart.
No.
Terry and Well, Terry and Dory Funk Jr., but Vince called Dory Haas Funk.
Of course he did.
And
Now, see,
Dory
now we're
has
getting
his.
into the jackets that I remember a lot more. The zebra print with the multicolor.
Yes. I think the good people at Zubaz need to recreate this jacket for me.
There you go. They would probably be more than
I
happy to.
I wonder if I could get Zubaz to sponsor the podcast.
Maybe.
I mean, you can't see my legs during these episodes, so it's kind of fruitless. I could wear the headbands that,
Yeah,
that you gave me.
you have headbands. That's all right. I look like Big Bird on the bottom today, so it's all good.
Oh, that's all. That's fine. Uh, Terry and Haas, they won at WrestleMania 2, but then Haas left. I think he was. Well, no, Terry left first. He had a sick horse,
Right.
so so he left, and then they put Dory with Jesse Barr, Jimmy Jack Funk,
Yeah.
the guy who later on got his nose bitten off by Haku. It
I
was
think
either
so.
the nose or it was either the nose or the eye. I forget which one.
I think it was the nose. I
Okay,
think. Don't.
I think it might have been
Barry,
the
if
eye. Barry,
Barry, we need
but
you.
yeah, but this was short lived. I loved Funk's feuds with Hogan and JYD at this time.
Yeah.
Uh, again, doing stuff that probably couldn't get away with now, beating up the poor African American ring attendant for mishandling his hat, for
Yeah.
example. And then that
It's even
1987.
crazy to think what they got away with
Oh, I know.
then.
I watched a promo today. I was kind of down a rabbit hole. Don Morocco, you know,
Ah,
one of my favorite heels of all time. Such a great like asshole heel back. And this is like '83 Morocco,
I
like when
say
he was
this is
feuding
like
with
early,
yeah.
early.
And he called Tito Santana a name that I will not repeat on this show,
Oh,
but he did it.
oh,
But he did it on. Let's just say it rhymed with snetback. Yeah,
wow,
it was bad.
wow.
I was like, holy crap! And he was. It was in an interview. It was in a promo.
Yeah. Well, but it was
And he got
also,
away with it.
but it was when that was normal.
Oh,
As much as I
yeah,
hate to
but
say it, but it was normal then.
yeah. I'm not I'm not a politically correct guy, but even I was like, oh shit.
Yeah,
Like
right?
you can't call him that in a promo. And that was actually the promo on the show that started the feud with Jimmy Snuka that led to the
Ah,
cage match. But we'll get to that later. But as we get into 1987 Minderz, here's where you asked for it. There he
Honky
is.
Tonk Man.
The worst baby face in the history of bad baby faces. To the point where he
I,
tried to get a letter writing campaign to give him the fans' seal of approval, but nobody did it, which made him, and then he got angry and Jimmy became his manager, and then we get this. Look at that,
uh,
Alice Cooper with Damien.
yep.
Poor Jimmy. Why he wore white pants that day, I'll never know. Uh,
Yep.
yeah, it's.
Ugh,
I mean, I'm sure.
sorry.
I in
I hate
hindsight,
nope
I wish I would
ropes,
have
but
asked him. What?
I hate nope ropes.
Oh,
That's what nope ropes.
I got you. In
Yeah.
hindsight, I wish I would have asked Jimmy about this. Just to, if
If
he's
he
there
should have
next
wore
year, I got
brown pants
questions.
that day.
Yeah, it's like Jake's getting a little friendly with him, but that's neither here
Yeah.
nor there.
Ugh,
Uh, so as we go, '88, he didn't have a lot of extra people. He had Dangerous Danny Davis, the crooked referee. And then
yeah.
in '89, the Hart Foundation leaves him, but he's got the Rougeau
Oh, the
brothers,
Rougeau brothers.
the All-American boys themselves, Jacques and
Yeah.
Raymond. This was Raymond's like his tail end before he retired, but they had a couple of good years there feuding with like the Rockers and the Hart Foundation, the Bushwhackers,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's the
Was
Punch Dynamite
that been
Kid in the locker
after?
room.
See that that was after Demolition, wasn't it?
I'm sorry.
Demolition. Would they been fighting with them then too?
Around there, yeah.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
Demolition turned babyface November of '88, so it would have been around there.
Okay. Yeah.
I can't imagine that match would have gone well for the Rougeaus,
Probably not.
but I digress. Uh, moving on from the Rougeau brothers, then you got Dino Bravo. This picture, just everybody's faces in this picture are gold. It's like they're Are they singing something?
I
They're doing their version of Bohemian Rhapsody.
I don't know.
It's
It's what
back
it
when they
kind of
were
looks
making
like.
Tenta. They made
And you have
Tenta the
Gene, you have,
Canadian earthquake.
and then you have Mean Gene back there. It's just like I'm too short for this.
Yeah, but
Although every
Gene's
time
not
I
the.
see Earthquake, I always think of Fred. So
Oh, Fred, Uncle Fred.
Uncle Fred,
Yep, and Tenta is also happy to not be the baldest person in this segment.
right?
I liked how they brought Earthquake in. They did it. Bravo was feuding with Warrior, and they did a push-up contest. They picked a random Joe out of the crowd to sit on their back, and it happened to be
Yep,
Earthquake. And then he wound up squashing Warrior. Then goes on with Hogan, and I he doesn't get his due, Minderz, as a really great big man. Well, he was
he really
athletic as hell.
doesn't.
He was a sumo before he was in pro wrestling. It's yeah,
Because I think, see, this is when I was really didn't understand everything, and I was a Hogan fan at the time. So you'll have to forgive me. But
oh yeah,
when Earthquake was it Earthquake or Yokozuna that broke Hogan's ribs?
Earthquake on the Brother Love
Okay,
show.
yes, that was
Yeah,
when I sent a get well card to Hulk Hogan because
I
I was I yeah I've told you this story, and he actually
friend of
sent
the
me a
show.
postcard back.
Well, somebody did.
Yeah, somebody sent me a postcard
it was
back.
a friend of the show, Dustin Danger, did the same thing back when we were in
Yeah,
fourth grade. He also had the really cool, like it's like looks like a chalk line jacket is now with Hogan on the back with like the red and yellow jacket. So we all thought he was super cool because he had that.
ah, yeah. I really didn't know what good wrestling was back then. I just enjoyed watching it
Yeah.
because after Hogan, I was a Warrior fan.
Mm. Oh, poor
Yeah,
Minderz.
I know. Aren't you disappointed
Uh,
in me? I'm
no,
disappointed
you
in
were young.
myself.
You were young. You know, mistakes can be made. Uh,
Yeah.
Speaking of mistakes to be made,
Oh,
Rhythm and
jeez.
Blues. Greg the Hammer Valentine with jet
Oh,
black
Greg.
hair.
Yeah.
Neither one of these guys can sing a lick, but they had a gold record.
Yep.
Remember the name of the song, Menders?
It's Cadillac. Something Cadillac.
No, 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 no. Hunka
Oh,
Hunka Hunka
hunk
Honky
up.
Love.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
they had DDP drove them to the ring at WrestleMania in his pink Cadillac, though.
Okay. That's what I was thinking of then.
Okay,
I
so
guess. I don't know.
Jimmy kind of had a rep for tag teams. You know, Heart Foundation, Funks, Rougeau's, for better or worse, Rhythm and Blues.
Yeah.
Then you got the
Yeah.
Nasty Boys.
Nasty boys.
I couldn't stand the Nasty Boys when I was a kid. In hindsight, now watching them back, they were so good.
And I was the exact opposite. I loved the Nasty Boys. I thought
Uh,
they were great.
have you seen the match they had with the Steiner brothers at Halloween Havoc in 1990?
I probably have, but it's been a long
You should
time.
make a point to go check that match out. It is so good because
Is it?
The Steiners are my favorite tag team,
Right.
and then the Nasty Boys. They weren't even. This was before. That was before they went to the WWF.
Okay.
So they were fresh off the AWA.
They were real fresh then.
They
Yeah.
were real fresh. Well, as fresh as two Nasty Boys can be.
Well, yeah. See, the armpit spot was my favorite spot. So you
Oh,
got
the
like
pit stop.
the pit stop. I love the pit stop.
You know my favorite thing about the Nasty Boys with Jimmy Hart?
Huh.
The helmet. One
I thought you were gonna
motorcycle
say
helmet.
I thought you were gonna say the mullets.
Well, the mullets go without saying.
Exactly.
The just Jimmy wearing a motorcycle helmet with his suit.
I
And of
loved
course
all
the
the
helmet
suits
would be
then with all the skulls and crossbones and
yeah, yeah. Of course Jimmy would use the helmet as a weapon.
of course.
And
He wouldn't be a good manager if he didn't.
this is true. He's resourceful.
Exactly.
But
Look at me sticking up for the heels, and tomorrow night it'll be a totally different tune.
yeah, right. All right. So we talked about the fabulous Rougeau brothers, Minderz, but a couple years after Raymond retired, we got the
Oh, the
Mountie.
Mountie.
He always gets his man, Minderz.
Yep, he does.
And responsible. I'm not a big fan of like backstage comedy skits on wrestling shows.
Hmm.
The the jailhouse match with the Big Boss Man at SummerSlam '91 and the aftermath when they took him downtown is comedy gold.
It was. I remember that match.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. The match
Yeah,
was
yeah.
kind of the shits, but the
Well,
comedy
yeah, but
afterwards was
afterwards was fine.
yeah.
Yeah.
You,
Oh, the Mountie.
the Mountie. This is the second episode in a row we mentioned the Mountie because I mentioned when I sent the question in to Bruce about if he
Yeah.
ever rode a horse. Uh,
What?
Minderz, you mentioned Uncle Fred.
Mm-hmm.
There he
Natural
is.
disasters.
Ugh. Were you
I lo-
shocked that I put that picture up?
no, the natural disasters. Even when they were heels, I still liked them.
Oh yeah, the match they had with the Bushwhackers at SummerSlam when the Bushwhackers had Andre with them.
Yeah.
I liked their run as a babyface team. Also, the match with the Beverly Brothers at SummerSlam at Wembley was good.
They were good as faces and heels. And
Yes,
there's not very there's not very many of them that
that's really hard to
could
pull
do that.
off.
Yeah.
A monster team is a hard thing to do. What the heck does this mean? You want to figure here's a? Are you quoting Shank Bari?
He might be, except then it's Marvin's finger.
Right, right. Uh, we love Marvin. But yeah, so he guides another tag team, and this is actually an interesting thing because he had three tag teams that were all like top contenders for the tag team championships at the same time. So he had the Nasty Boys, had the Natural Disasters, and then he had Money Inc.
Money Inc.
And Jimmy wound up double crossing the Natural Disasters for Money Inc.
Yep.
But I love these belts too. These are the belts where the text was black instead of red on World.
Ah.
Like as an example, and I know I'm getting kind of into Gold Rush territory. My cheap knockoff tag title. You see where it says World in red?
Uh-huh.
It was actually on that belt. It was black instead of
Black.
red, and it looked really cool.
Yeah.
And I need to find that belt eventually. Put this back on its pedestal. And I got like four of these. I need to get one to Bari. All
He's got
right.
all his belts too.
Yeah, right. Someday I'll have more. There's others that I want to get. Uh, so after Money Inc., Jimmy turns babyface for the first time I think ever. I don't think he was
Yeah.
ever a babyface in Memphis either. And there we go. He's managing the Hulkster.
This is probably when I was like, wait, what?
I This was around the time I had stopped watching WWF just because I never had time. So
Yeah.
and we didn't have cable, so I didn't watch like Raw or anything like that. So I just heard things very secondhand.
Mm-hmm.
When Hogan debuted in WCW, Jimmy was his manager still.
Yeah. I knew
And I
that.
didn't and I didn't know Jimmy was his like actual manager, like his legit
Ah.
like handling his business affairs. But when he shows up with Jimmy Hart, like, what is Jimmy Hart doing with Hulk Hogan? Because I was out of the loop for so long.
Yep.
But all would be right in the world, Minderz, in October of 1995.
There we go.
This was after his second title run, like when the Giant beat Ric Flair for the title, not the Yeti humping freak show that was Halloween Havoc 95. But yeah, he joined the Dungeon of Doom. He became the Giant's handler. But the Giant wasn't the only one because he also had, speaking of tag teams, the Faces of
Yeah.
Fear, Ming and the Barbarian, who might be the
Mm-hmm.
toughest tag team ever created. And,
All you
of
need.
course,
There you go.
Kevin Sullivan and Jackie. Jackie scared the hell out of me when she was in WCW because she was beating up all the guys. And that
Yep.
was kind of unheard of because that was, I think, right before China had debuted in WWE.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was.
Miss Texas.
Yep. I love Jackie. She doesn't get the respect she deserves either.
No, she is so good. She beat Chavo Guerrero Sr. No, she beat Chavo Jr. for the Cruiserweight Championship.
There you go. Yeah. So nice to have Jimmy in
Classic.
this. I'm glad Jimmy's in the Hall of Fame.
Yes, well deserved. And like I said, we met him a month ago. Could not have been a nicer guy. Still wearing the suits. Like he dresses the part when he makes public appearances. Like
I appreciate that.
yeah,
There's so much I appreciate about. He's keeping the business.
yeah,
The business.
he's protecting the gimmick.
Yeah.
See, and I love Hillbilly Jim, but when he goes out and about, he's usually got like a T-shirt and Adidas pants
Yeah, he can't do that.
and,
He needs to be in
and a baseball
overalls.
cap. Yeah,
Needs to be in
bib
his
overalls, the
bib
hat,
overalls. Yep.
have the horseshoe around his neck. Uh, but yeah, so Jimmy, well-deserved induction. Our second manager to go in, but certainly not the last one.
Nope.
And yeah, I just you know could not be happen to a better fella. So I think, let me see. Oh,
There you go. That's how Jimmy stays the way he is. Jimmy Hart eats a can of beans and a baked potato every day.
is that true?
I don't know. Barry
I
said
don't
it
know.
was, so it must be.
If Bari says that must be true.
Yeah, it has to be true.
All right, Minders, we have just a couple more orders of business. We're actually going to go a little long today, which isn't a bad thing.
No.
Uh, uh, but it is Tuesday. Bari clarified it is true. So
Yes.
now I'm curious what kind of beans? Baked beans, green beans, pinto beans?
Maybe it's any kind of beans, just because if he has to eat a can of beans, you'd want some variety.
Oh, you would think so, yeah.
Yeah. Can we
All
get to
right,
the top 10?
let's get into the top 10. All right, it is top 10 Tuesday, and this list I picked for a reason, Menders.
Okay.
Uh, the world's leading historian on pro wrestling, Freddie Prinze Jr., made some comments during one of the A&E shows, I think last week or the week before, where he said that Andre the Giant and Hulk Hogan in 1987 was the first real big feud the WWF ever had.
Okay.
That made me kind of scratch my head a little bit. So today's list, Menders, is greatest WWF/WWF feuds pre 1987.
Man, you're
So
really going back in my memory on this one, aren't
yeah,
you?
this one I might be losing you a little bit on this one. Barry might
You
be able to keep up in the
Barry
comments.
might be able to keep up, but I don't know if I'll be able to keep up. But I'll try.
I don't go any earlier than like 1975, if my
Okay.
math is right. Uh, but yeah, so there were plenty of big feuds that sold out Madison Square Garden or the Spectrum or wherever back in the day. That I mean, yeah, Andre and Hogan sold out the Silverdome, 93 plus thousand people, which is awesome. But
Well,
to
but
say
they
that
also
was the
had MTV and everything else that was helping them get it nationwide as
that's
opposed to a territory.
that's true. So yeah, I mean, but to say that was the first big feud is really a discredit to some of these fellows on here, and it's all men. Uh, Wendy Richter and Fabulous Moolah did not make the cut.
Okay.
Uh, just saying. All right, so number 10, Bruno Sammartino versus Stan Hansen. This was about 1975. This was when Hansen accidentally broke Bruno's neck in a match.
Uh-huh.
Uh, it was a botched landing on a body slam, but in following promos, they made it sound like he hit him with the lariat and broke his neck just to get the move over. But look how young Hansen is here.
No. That's kind of nuts.
I know, because we're used to crazy cowboy Batman from Border, Texas with the chewing
Yeah.
tobacco and everything. He's got long blonde hair. I still wouldn't mess with him. I mean, look at
Well,
him.
no. Yeah, he's huge, but
Yeah, but so was Bruno back then too.
right.
So Bruno recovered. I think he had a very fast recovery, kind of Cena-esque when Cena got hurt in
Oh
'08.
wow.
Then came back. They had a cage match, as you see in the picture. Bruno
Right.
got his win, and then Hansen wound up challenging Backlund at some point. But this was the hottest that Hansen was in the WWF easily, because Bruno was still the unstoppable hero in 1975, even though he wasn't the champion. He was. It was. I'm trying to think who it was. Stasiak, I think, because
I say would
after after Bruno beat Hansen, he beat Stan Stasiak to win the belt back.
okay.
But and then what happened later, we'll get to in a bit. All right, number 9. This is about the time I had started watching wrestling. Hogan and Orndorff.
Yep.
My favorite cage match of all time, just because Orndorff should have won,
Of
and
course.
uh, I think they may have doctored that video replay with the timer on the screen. I'm
Every
just saying.
excuse, aren't you? Every
I'm just saying.
excuse.
Uh, both of them are Tampa boys. You know, they're
Yep.
uh, Mr. Wonderful worked a little stiffsky with Hulkster, and then I think Hogan returned the favor. But Barry's dad's
My
favorite
dad's
feud.
there you
Uh,
go.
yeah, I'm pretty sure he's not talking about Bruno and Hanson. Uh, I loved the match they had at the big event in Toronto in '86. This in August. That was right before I started watching, but in hindsight, going back and renting the videos.
Right.
Uh, at that point, I think the biggest outdoor crowd they ever had is the Exhibition Stadium in Toronto, and this was the main event. At one point, the referee took a bump, and Orndorff claimed victory, even though he hadn't won the match. Heenan put the belt on him, so there's a picture out there of Paul Orndorff wearing the world title, even though he was never the champion.
Huh.
But great heat spot though.
Yeah, of course.
But
Bari had the
Bari,
big event on VHS.
I didn't have it, but I rented it like 10 times from the Oakwood video. Now it's on Peacock, so we can watch it whenever.
There you go.
Oh, excuse me. All right. So yeah, that's always got a soft spot in my heart there. Number 8. Back to Bruno again. Bruno
There you
Sammartino versus
go.
superstar Billy Graham. And good thoughts to the superstar. He is
Yeah.
sounds like he is on life support right now. It doesn't look good for him, but hopefully he kicks out at 2 like he has for the last several years. Uh,
I was gonna say, because didn't they say something about that like back in February too?
I think so, yeah. But I mean, he's been having kidney problems for years,
Yeah,
and I think that might be. They haven't said for sure, but I think that might be what's getting him
the
this time.
problem. Yeah.
Yeah. Bruno dropped the world title after Bruno won the belt from Stasiak. He lost it to Superstar in Baltimore, and Superstar was the heel champion for almost a year, which is almost unheard of for even Vince Senior's booking. He always had like long-term champions as his baby faces. He never went with the heels for a long time.
Yeah.
Oh, Bari, be nice. But jeez, man, that's uncalled for, Bari. Shame on you. But the Superstar, this was Bruno was always known for being a strong man, like an Italian strong man. He wasn't a
Mhm.
bodybuilder, but he was always strong like a bull. So
Right.
this was one of the first times he was really like matched up with somebody that could match him for strength with Superstar, because he had the 22-inch arms and he was massive. You know, worked out with Arnold and all those guys.
Yeah.
And then he wound up, yeah, like I said, he won the belt, dropped it to Backlund about I want to say 7, 8 months later. I want to say, but they went around. I think they sold out the Garden a few times. These two guys, which was really cool. Like I've gone back and watched some of those matches, and it gets a little crazy. At one point, I think Bruno like had him like busted Billy up in the face, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was one of the biggest feuds in the late '70s in wrestling altogether, not just
I
in
would say wrestling.
WWF.
Period.
Yeah. All right. One of my favorites comes in at number 7, to the point I actually watched the match in this picture today on YouTube when I got home. Greg Valentine versus Tito
Oh.
Santana.
Yeah, you love Tito.
I love Tito. He like I always say he was my first favorite wrestler. Uh, yeah, this was when Valentine and he were trading the Intercontinental title back and forth. Valentine was just a ground and pound kind of guy, even though he's standing on the ropes there. But he was,
That was
no
all the higher he
fancy.
usually got on the
Yeah,
ropes,
he never
though.
went to the top rope.
He
The
never
middle
went
rope
to
was
the top.
plenty,
Yep.
but he was one of those guys just rather knock the piss out of you than do anything fancy.
Hoss
And
fight.
not really a Haas fight. Tito wasn't really a Haas.
Well, Tito wasn't, but Greg was.
Greg was. Tito was awesome. Tito could brawl a little bit, but he was also very quick doing drop
Tito
kicks.
was the quote unquote flippy guy, in my opinion, back then. Quote
He
unquote.
was he was I guess considered a high flyer, although actually in hindsight I don't think I ever saw him go to the top rope.
Yeah, but he was considered
But
one of the more
he was
agile.
yeah, he was the agile guy. He was the guy doing the drop kicks and the head scissors.
Uh-oh, here's a belt question. That's up to
Up
you, Mark.
Bari, not only that, he destroyed the green belt in the cage after this match in the picture. and then that's when they debuted the Brasso belt afterwards, which is the classic design, but when Macho Man got it, he tried to polish it with Brasso and really dulled the shine on it, made it look like shit. The only thing Macho ever did I disagreed with.
Gotcha.
But yeah, Tito at the end he got over, he won the belt back, and then Valentine went on to tag team Glory with Brutus Beefcake. I detect sarcasm, Minderz.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Hey, don't get me wrong. I did like their tag team was fine, but
Yeah,
yeah,
it was
yeah.
wasn't really the dream team they advertised it
Thought
as.
it was gonna be. Yeah,
Yeah, although the match I had with the Bulldogs at WrestleMania was really good.
yeah. Well, that was usually who it was with the Bulldogs. Usually.
Yeah, them and the Heart Foundation.
Yep.
Uh, all right, let's get to number 6. Is it 6?
I don't know.
One,
I lost count.
6. 6.
Okay.
All right. Back to Superstar Billy Graham. This one, so good. Dusty Rhodes.
Nah.
Just
Hey,
three
hey.
matches.
About any feud Dusty was in was good though.
That's true. But this was Dusty. He wasn't a regular in New York, but they brought him up to do this 3-match series with the Superstar. The first one was the count out where the picture came from that Cody talks about, where he's holding the belt up. And
This is bringing back some indie memories for me too, and
huh,
yeah,
yeah, this was the bull rope match, and I think they had a. It wasn't a no holds barred match. I forget what it was. It was the blow off, and Billy wound up winning the feud. Uh, so good. These guys trading promos back and forth. It was worth the price of admission itself, from what I've seen on
right.
video.
Two of the best promo workers ever.
Yeah, and influenced each other, I think, because
Yeah,
they had a lot of similar rap between the two of them. But Dusty got over for just a few months, and then wound up going back to Florida and beating Harley for the world title.
yep,
And then Carolinas, and the rest is history. So,
yeah,
but that one, it was fun just for Dusty getting over in a whole new area.
right.
Uh, Number 5. This one I did not see when it happened, but my brother would tell me all about it. And it was like, almost like folklore to me when this happened. Superfly and the Hot Rod, the
Yes,
the coconut
the
heard round the
coconut.
world.
Yep.
Uh, it got to like I watched the Piper's Pit several times, like later on home, like when they would put videos out about Piper or about whoever.
Right.
But I had never seen any of the matches because they never put the matches on
No,
anything.
they didn't.
I went to YouTube and I found when they main evented a show at the Meadowlands in New Jersey, and that was it wasn't a hoss fight, but it was a banger. It was
Yeah,
it was crazy. Snuka was so over, he looked like $1,000,000, and then Piper was just
Piper.
Pasty Jones
I
knocked
say
the hell
Piper
out of
was
you.
Piper.
Piper was Piper.
Yep.
It was, but the promos were kind of like somebody bringing a knife to a gunfight because Snuka wasn't the best promo in the business.
No, not at all. Did you see Barry's comment? The real
No,
victim
wait,
in
wait,
this.
that's that was no, that was the Mr. T feud, wasn't it, Bari? When Piper cut his hair? I
We'll let him answer and then we'll
but,
see.
yeah, but no,
Yeah,
it was
it was.
but the thing is, other than Hogan, there was not a hotter baby face in WWF in the early '80s than Jimmy Snuka.
Nope, there
I
really
think
wasn't.
if Hogan had never come over from the AWA, I'll bet Snuka would have been their world champion at some point.
I don't know if he would have been or not.
Well, if it's a babyface territory, who else would it be? Would it be JYD? Would it be? I love JYD, but I don't think it would be him. It could have been Tito, possibly. I guess.
Tito probably. I would have. I was gonna say that was when the Nancy Argentina thing happened.
Yeah, but it got conveniently swept under the rug. But that's neither here nor there. Uh,
I don't think he would have ever been the champion. I think it would have been Tito or
Steamboat, maybe.
Steamboat. Steamboat would have been a good option.
Yeah. Interesting fact, Minderz, about Santana. Actually, in '92, when they were going the new generation kind of stuff with Brett getting the title, when they were discussing who was going to be the guy after Hogan, I guess there was some talk that it might have been Tito instead of Brett,
Wow.
which, considering he was doing the Matador thing, is really saying something.
Yeah.
I love Tito. The Matador was kind of a silly gimmick. Oh, they brought Tonga Kid in this place. Yeah, him and CV Afi, Bari, if you remember that name. But I digress. But yeah, that was a great feud, Piper and Snuka. And I wish they would have. I wonder, and this is a thought I had today, and I wish I would have thought about this when we met Bob Orton at the Expo.
Hmm.
If Bob Orton hadn't gotten hurt and broken his arm, which was a shoot injury, it was legit.
Right.
He busted his arm on the ring post. I wonder if that was going to be a six-man tag at WrestleMania 1. Piper, Orndorff, Orton against Hogan, T, and Snuka. Because it boggles my mind that they wouldn't have had Snuka wrestling on WrestleMania.
Yeah.
But you couldn't have T on the outside because T's the draw. He's the one that was selling the
Right.
tickets.
Exactly.
So I don't
I
know.
don't know.
That's a question I don't know if you ever get an answer to. I don't think Vince would ever give you a straight answer on that. Pritchard wasn't there, so you can't ask him. Uh, Obviously Snuka, Piper, Orndorff were not around. Mr. T wouldn't know.
Right.
Hogan might know if we could ever get. Yeah, Piper, T, Hogan, and Orton are the only ones still alive from that match because even Pat Patterson is gone. He was the referee.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, that's something I always wondered. Let's see. I think we're to number three, Minderz. Classic. Bruno
For four.
Sammartino versus Larry Zbyszko.
It's four.
That's four. Hey, number four. Bruno Sammartino versus Larry
I was
Zbyszko.
saying, I thought the last one was five.
That's fine. I lost count. Problem is, the thumbnail I got for number one is so faint that
Ah,
I lose it. It's there, but I keep focusing more on number two,
yeah.
which is also my bathroom strategy. Uh,
God.
my wife is
Oh,
sitting
Larry's.
outside in her deck chair, rolling her eyes at me on the
Oh, I'm
headphones, I'm
sure.
sure. Uh, but no, Bruno and Zbyszko, maybe the best heel turn in the 80s in WWF, because Zbyszko was Sammartino's protege. They were both from Pittsburgh,
Yeah.
and he was the white meat baby face. And then finally one night he just lost it and just beat the piss out of Sammartino with a chair. The crowd hated him. They wanted to kill him, and they wound up doing this cage match at Shea Stadium. The same night as I want to say Hogan and Andre, their first match.
Oh,
Well,
wow.
their first big match. They had a match on TV before that,
Yeah.
but it was when Hogan was managed by Blassie, so it was
Oh,
heel
wow.
Hogan,
Okay. Yeah.
and so they had their big match there. But the main event on that show was Bruno and Zbyszko, and a lot of people consider that the greatest cage match of all time. I don't quite agree with that, although it is awesome.
Hmm.
But the best of all time will come up here shortly. Uh, but yeah, this has to be on it. Really, I really wanted to have this higher on the list, to be honest with you, but I couldn't do it in good conscience with the stuff that I've got ahead of it.
Well, I'll have to see what the rest of it is to see if you should have moved things around a little bit.
All right, I got a feeling you're going to agree with me, but
Probably. I usually do.
yeah. All right, well, number three,
Three. Yep.
and this one might get me in trouble because
Okay.
I got a feeling a lot of people are going to say that this should be higher.
Okay.
Hogan and Piper.
Let me see what you have higher and then we'll talk about it.
Okay. Well, this was the first feud I really remember from the cartoon.
Hmm.
Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling was Hogan in one group and then Piper in the other group. But I
Yeah.
didn't. I When I was a kid, my dad rented the first WrestleMania when I was. It was probably the year after it came out, so it was about '86. So
Okay.
we watched it, and then the next week he rented the Wrestling Classic, which was the first pay-per-view out of Chicago in '85,
Okay.
and they had a one-on-one match in that one
Okay.
where Orton interfered. It was a DQ. You know, Piper isn't taking the pin for
Yeah.
anybody.
Piper doesn't take the pin. So, especially, hey, looking back now, I totally get it.
Yeah,
I totally understand it.
right. But hey, he didn't take a pin from Hogan all this time in WCW. He took maybe one.
Yeah.
But did anybody really get hurt by that in this storyline in this
No.
rivalry? No.
No.
It was Hogan and Orndorff. I think were the better matches, but
Right.
Hogan and Piper, it was the personalities,
Yeah,
and
the
Piper cutting
promos
promos
and
on
yeah.
Hogan were gold, and there's the whole rock and wrestling thing with Piper and Cyndi Lauper was an offshoot of that. And if it was me, and I told Gary this like several years ago, I don't know if you know this, Minderz, I tend to fantasy book sometimes.
No, not
Yeah,
you.
believe it or not, sometimes I put my
Really?
booking hat on. I would have. Here's what I would have done. I would have scrapped, and this is assuming Mr. T is not available. So
Okay.
there's no tag match at WrestleMania in the main event.
Okay.
War to settle the score happened about a month before at the Garden. It was the one where they went one on one for the title. I would have had Piper beat Hogan at the War to settle the score, win the World Championship, and then Hogan wins it back at WrestleMania to get the big pop on the big pay per view.
Yeah.
Because Piper
I
wouldn't need it for a long time.
no. That would. I kind of like that idea better,
Yeah.
honestly.
And then Hogan wouldn't have the 4 year long nonstop run. It would have been broken up a little bit.
Yeah.
But then Hogan could still have T in his corner. Then Piper could have Orton. Maybe have Snuka and Orndorff in a match on Mania. It's like I said,
That'd be,
this fantasy booking.
yeah.
Plus, I wish Piper would have had a run with the world title at some point.
I do too. He's one of the few, one of some that never did that should have.
And not just in WWF, because there's a list a mile long of guys that should have been WWF champion, but Piper's one of those that never held a world championship
Right.
anywhere. NWA, WWE, Oregon didn't have a world champion in Portland for Don Owen. But, I mean, he had the Intercontinental title, he had the U.S. title, tag titles with
Yeah.
Flair when they were both old. Other than that, that was about it. And
Yeah.
Piper, he was one of those guys, for the most part, didn't need a championship. He was
He
over.
didn't. He really didn't.
It's getting a little dark in here. Turn on the light there. Uh, but yeah, so that's my number three. My brother's gonna send me an angry text probably tomorrow after he sees this. Number two, Minderz. I guess I couldn't have this any lower. Number two, the Sarge and
No.
the Sheik. Come on,
Right. Exactly.
this is so good.
It was.
I It had the patriotism to it. It had
Yep.
Slaughter turned babyface for this feud
It
because
was
Slaughter
great.
was hated back in '84, and then there was that one show where Sheik was walking back to the locker room and kind of stared down Slaughter on the way back, and that's all they did. There was
Yeah.
no. But then Slaughter went to the ring, did the Pledge of Allegiance, got over in a heartbeat, and then off to the races, as they say.
Yep. I remember bits and pieces of this one.
Yeah. Did you see the boot camp match?
I again, it's been forever since I've seen these.
It's basically a lights out match, no DQ, all that stuff, but they just bloodied each
Beat
other
the,
up, beat the
beat the
hell out
shit
of each other.
out of each other.
It's a lot like the match that Slaughter had with Pat Patterson, the alley fight a few years
Ah,
before
okay.
that.
Okay.
But the difference is that Sheik had the curly toes on his boots and it was
The
loaded up.
loaded boots.
The loaded boot was Sheik or I think Slaughter, if I remember, I haven't watched this match in years. He either loaded up his own boot the same way, or I know he took the boot off of the Sheik,
Yeah, I
and then
remember.
because I remember taking off. Then he went and he pounded it up against the turnbuckle to load it up, and then he just reared back and hit him with it. Just good stuff. And then
Good
yeah,
stuff.
and then of course it carried over to the gimmick battle royal, WrestleMania 17.
Yep.
The Iron Sheik won the battle royal because he couldn't take a bump.
Nope.
And then
But then
Sarge gave him the gentlest Cobra clutch in the history
no,
of Cobra
it was
clutches.
so bad. It was so bad. It was great.
But I love it. Because, I mean, we love the Sheik's in the Hall of Fame. He's in the
Yeah,
JTR
he
Hall of
is.
Fame. I'm
The
sure
Sheik
Sarge
was
will get there
great.
eventually. I
Yeah.
love the Sheik. My favorite, with the exception of Jim Ross and Bob Uecker, my favorite Hall of Fame induction speech was the Iron Sheik
Could you
in
understand a word he
2005.
said?
A few. But it was the enthusiasm. I like to think I learned Iranian watching that
Ah,
speech. By that I mean the accent. Like
right,
I could
right,
decipher
right,
the accent because he wasn't speaking actual Arabic, but
right.
neither here nor there. But man, I mean, come on. Uh, Especially in the 80s, this was right up there with, and I had to put it over Hogan and Piper just for the, honestly, for the blood.
I
For the, it was a blood
right.
feud.
Well,
Piper and Hogan didn't have a blood feud.
and then to think that later they ended up teaming up together.
Oh, Colonel Mustafa, yes.
Yep,
They had that wacky General Adnan.
yep. To think that that feud brought that.
Uh-huh. That was kind of Sheik's last hurrah, though, before he
It
retired.
was. Yeah, it was.
Not to be forgotten, the Heroes of Wrestling pay-per-view.
Oh, that's
Please
been a
tell me,
minute since I seen
please,
that.
please, I'll say, please tell me you've seen that pay-per-view.
I have, but it's
It is,
been
it is the worst abomination of a wrestling show I think I've ever seen. Tony Schiavone and Conrad actually did an episode where they did a watch along of it. I haven't listened to it yet on Tony's podcast. I'm
really.
I'm anxiously awaiting hearing their thoughts on this because it was a train. Calling it a train wreck is an insult to train wrecks. It was just bad. I mean, we did a top 10 worst pay-per-views of all time. That one won by a
Would be right up
landslide
there. Yeah, I was
last
gonna
year.
say. Yeah, I could
Yeah,
see that.
right up there with Starcade '97.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
All right,
okay.
so we are to our number one, Minders.
Number one.
Yeah, and I kind of discussed this a little bit earlier when I was talking about the Magnificent Morocco. Gotta be
There you
Snooker
go.
Morocco. Greatest blow off to a feud was that cage match. I love the fact that Snuka never won the title in that feud because Morocco was the IC champion at the time.
Wasn't
And
that the
every
one? Isn't this the match that Mick Foley saw
Yeah,
that got
Mick
him in?
Foley, Mick
Yeah,
Foley, Bubba Ray Dudley, Tommy Dreamer, Little Guido, they were all there.
yeah,
And but yeah, it was IC title match. Morocco won because Snuka headbutted him and Morocco went out through the door,
yeah.
which was brilliant.
I miss those type of cage matches,
So
honestly.
do I. Uh, there's I mean, I know they bled in the match on Wednesday, but it wasn't the same.
No,
It's these cage matches. You thought that they were trying to kill each other.
yeah, that's what, in my opinion, that's what today's wrestling is missing out on.
Yeah, and it's not even the blood. It's just the
No,
attitude.
yeah, exactly. It's not a, all right, everybody get in the ring. This is what we're doing. It's
We're doing
no, I
moves,
really want to kill you,
right?
so I'm going to kill you now.
And like I said, I was talking about that promo that Morocco cut. That was the start of the feud because during his promo, Snuka had come out for his match and kind of interrupted him.
Oh,
So
okay.
Morocco gets up, goes to the ring, spits on him, yells at him, and then Snuka did a running, I guess it was a suicide dive over the top rope, which was unheard of in
Whew.
1983. Like running start, didn't touch the ropes, just soared over the top rope onto Morocco, ripped his suit off. Morocco got a hold of the microphone, busted him open. It was fantastic business, and that was the start of the feud. That wasn't even built. It
That's
didn't build
yeah,
to that.
that's the crazy part. That was the start.
They started to paraphrase Sami Zayn last night. They started on 10
Yeah,
from that feud.
and had to go to 20.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and 20 is Snuka jumping off the top of a 15-foot high steel cage after the match is already over.
Yeah, I'm having flashbacks of war games.
War games. Go back and listen to the Zero One Shootout War Games recap to hear what we're talking about.
Listen to all of it. It's a good
Oh
listen.
yeah, it is with the interviews. Once we got the interviews playing right on the tape replay.
I got yelled at and I got told I suck, but that's beside the point.
Oh, everybody has their opinions, Minderz.
No, well, the person that told me that has a reason, so it's okay.
All right. Well, Minderz, let's say we pay some bills before we get going.
Let's do
Uh,
that.
all right. ProWrestlingTees.com/JTRPod for all your t-shirt needs from Jumping the Rail podcast. Also for the Zero One Shootout and the podcast network all around. Uh, he's here in spirit, Gary Vestelio, the Bearded Dragon, with the Gary Says It's a Work t-shirt. Which, if he was here, he would have mentioned that about Punk about 4 or 5 times, Menders,
At
I would
least.
imagine.
at least.
and we love them for it.
We
Uh,
do. We do.
then again, you got the usual suspects, as it were. Uh, at the, just running down these here.
I have a lot of those. It's
Yeah,
amazing how many of those I have.
I'm surprised how few of these I have. I don't have a lot of these.
Well,
I, I
I
need
have
to get more
three
of
of
them.
those.
I wish I got some kind of a discount from Pro Wrestling Tees for creating all of these, but
I say I have three of those.
yeah, I've got
And
the black
I
one
don't
of
have a
those,
whole
I
lot of
think.
those.
Yeah, and the
All
01
those.
shirts. I need to adjust this because I got two of these on the same one as the
I
previous.
think you're the only one that it bugs, which
Probably. Then brainbustertees.com/other/JTR-podcast-network for all the extra stuff. And I don't know how that picture of the first family got underneath that graphic, so I'm going to take that off. That was from the Jimmy Hart segment.
oh,
And and then there you see it. We got stuff for the network, stuff for the shootout, stuff for jumping the rail. You got hoodies, t-shirts, baseball shirts, stickers, caps, fanny packs, all kinds of cool stuff there. So go check that out. Plus, we have some special custom art done by CP Arts, the Cobra, the Elite Warrior, the King, Sir, whatever
the
you want to call him,
king.
uh, Giddy Mindy, and also our animated shootout logo. So go check that stuff out there. If you like Minderz, get the Giddy Mindy shirt. There you see the stickers with those designs on there.
There's Giddy Mindy.
If you're a friend of Minderz, then you need that shirt. And then that's sharp too.
That one's sharp. I like that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, that's cool. Ugh. All right. And
If
I
I
think
ever get to
that's
drive my car again, I might actually put it on my car now to
Oh,
be
there you go.
proud.
I wish I could get it done in like a magnetic like decal. That'd be better. Just because
Yeah.
I don't want to defile the glass or the on the
I
new
might
car.
well, I might have to actually decorate up my wheelchair since I'm stuck in it for another month. So
Oh, we'll put spinners on it.
glow the light up ones. That'd be
Yeah,
fun.
there you go. All right. Well, next week or next episode, Minderz, if my scheduling is correct and I need to get confirmation, we may have a couple of guests joining us.
Oh, really?
Uh, Again, and I got to make sure I clarify, but there is an independent tag team from the Kentucky area that we've
Oh,
seen.
wait.
They've had words with Minderz in the past at 01 shows.
You tell me to stay in my. I need to know my
Know your
place.
place. That's what they said. So once I get confirmation from them, I will post it on the Facebook page that they are coming.
Well, you may as well say who it is, because
Okay, well, it's the tag team called the Bruisers. Uh,
I'd
and
like to get their take on some of the independent like booking around the area
yeah, that'd be awesome. Plus, just their opinion of tag
and
team
their
wrestling in general.
stories. Yeah.
They did a really cool tribute to the Briscoes after Jay Briscoe passed in Edgewood at one of the Thursday Night Throwdowns that actually I didn't catch until I watched it later on because I wasn't at. I don't think I was at that show, was I? Or I might have
No.
been.
Uh,
But
no, I think it's one I went to.
okay. But yeah, so they are a
The
hell of a tag team.
undefeated tag team.
Right. Just ask them.
Yeah.
But no, they're a great team. I wish they did more stuff up here in Central Illinois, but travel is kind of difficult sometimes, and they're booked all over the place. So they go.
They are.
So it'd be cool to kind of hear from them, talk about where they've been at, and what they're doing, what they want to do, all that kind of stuff. So we'll talk about that on the next episode in 2 weeks, hopefully, if schedules are jiving. Tomorrow, 01 Shootout. We will be joined by the King of Thrash, Justin Poole from St. Louis. Does some stuff with 01 USA,
He's
among
with the
other
Forge, right?
with the Forge, as far as from what I understand. And we might have a surprise also for old Justin if
I was a
things
little
work out.
concerned.
And then yeah, and then keep an eye out for the Gold Rush on YouTube. I'm not sure when the next episode is going to drop. It was scheduled to be next Friday, but we're going to be at Iron Spirit Pro on Friday night.
Oh
So
yeah.
Barry and I will have to make sure we have a day
Is that
scheduled to do
next
another one.
weekend? Is it
Yeah,
that fast already?
it's a week from Friday, yeah. But yeah, so we might do one on tape delay. We might just do it live on another day. Uh, maybe wait another week. We'll have keep an eye on our Facebook page. We'll keep you posted on that. And I think that's all we got, Minders. Unless you have anything you want to add,
Check out 01 Shootout podcast tomorrow night. It's going to be fun.
it will be fun. Yes,
It's a lot of Mark and I actually not agreeing on things as opposed to this
it's
podcast where we agree on most things.
it's true. We have opinions on certain people that it gets a little heated sometimes. But yeah,
Sometimes.
definitely check it out. It's fun. If you it's a cool introduction if you don't know Zero One USA. You kind of get an idea what's going on. And then, yeah, it's maybe that'll lead you to go to YouTube, check it out, maybe get the Patreon. My producer is giving me the cue, Minders. It is time to say goodbye. I
Sounds
have
like a
a.
plan, Noodles. I'm with you.
All right. Well, for Minders, for the absent Gary Vasilio, this is Rev. Run y'all. Life is hard, work stiff. We will see you in 2 weeks.